Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fair One podcast. I am Fabricio Ite, and this is the newest co-host that I have with me. Is young Archie Ite. He's 6 months old. Mark Whelan says it's fantastic that you're back, Fab. He'll only be here for a very short time, this guy. It's fantastic that you're back, Fab. Congrats on having a few more Billy Lids, i.e. children. I'm sure your home gets rowdy at times. If not yet, it will soon enough. Haha, cheers. It absolutely does get insane in this house, man. There's three little kids, 3 under 3.5. Joseph says, Coach Fab is back. Is this real? Yes, sir. It's real. We're ready to go. I'm having a few problems with getting the feed up, but hopefully we'll be off and running very, very soon. Oliver Ekman says, let's go as well. That seems to be the prevailing attitude. Mason Klatt says, always great to see you, Fab. You're looking like the man. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that much, much, much. Trying to get the fights up and going now with the stream and having a few issues with it, but I'm sure we will be able to get that up and going very, very quickly. If my son would like to comply, he's a horrible little mess of a human, this kid, but it's good. I only caught one of the fights from the prelims before I was able to start. That was a Roman Kopylov fight, and man, that was impressive, man. Joseph says, shout out to the Marvin Gaye print in the back. Thank you, sir. That was actually done by a friend of mine. He, George Cara is his name, and he's a local artist from here. If you'd like to, 1 second. If you'd be so kind as to take him. Yeah, he's a young fellow that did the artwork, George Cara. And yeah, man, it was really nice. Really, really nice. I like it. He's a very talented young artist, and he did that for me. Mitch G says the head kick was crazy. It was a crazy, crazy head kick. Kopylov is someone to watch. I think he's 4 or 5 times world Sambo champion. So hand-to-hand combat champion. So very, very, very interesting. I think, he's had a couple of losses. Albert Duraev was his last loss. But now I believe that's 3 in a row for him. And if I'm not mistaken, they're all stoppages, And when you look at his fight record, a lot of his wins are come off the back of stoppages. So he's definitely got power. He's got a lot of and the guy that he beat was the last guy that he beat was at before this fellow was Punahele Soriano, who's got a lot of power in his hands, and Kopylov just really went to work on him, really good body work, and then finished that off, was able to finish Punahele, who's a very, very tough dude. So he's definitely someone to watch, I think, in that division, a bit of a dark horse. Yeah, it's interesting. Like a lot of these guys coming out of that, out of Russia and that, but Russia's always had, people act like it's kind of new now, but the Russians have always had unbelievable combat sports. Like they've always done very, very well, obviously in Olympic freestyle wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, judo, boxing. They've always done really, really well, especially under the Soviet system. They did really, really well. Joseph says, so Coach, what's new, brother? Been a while, man. It's been crazy. It's been pretty busy. I had to stop just because I had 3 kids in 3.5 years, and a lot of the projects that I had lined up, they got pushed back because of COVID. And so when it opened up, I was able to start working, and just things started, I opened up 2 gyms since then. So I think it was 2 years since the last podcast. I actually thought it was going to be, when I initially said, I thought, 6 months and I'll get on top of it. But no, it was just crazy. It just got out of hand. 808 says, brother, I'm so stoked that you're back. Much love and respect from Hawaii. Man, thank you so much. I love Hawaii and I love your support, man. Thank you so much, man. I actually really, really missed doing this. I really missed doing the podcast and hanging out with everyone while we're watching the fights. It's something, honestly, I genuinely look forward to, and I love watching the fights and breaking the fights down with you guys and that. So I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, share it, tell your friends, tell anyone you know to please like and subscribe it. I really appreciate all the support. 808 VW says, I'm so happy for you and the new gyms. Yeah, man, I opened up a gym about almost exactly a year ago. It's like a little fitness studio for beginners. So it's on the New South Wales South Coast, in a little town called Thirroul. So yeah, if you're in this area and you're a beginner and you never tried martial arts and you want to give it a shot, and you're not sure about going to a gym, this is a very small, very personalized studio that I recommend you go to and try it if you're a beginner. If you're more advanced, there's a lot of other places to go around here that you can't go wrong with. We focus specifically on beginners, on adult beginners. So that's the one that I've set up here. And then we're setting up another one probably about an hour and a half away from here in Sydney City. And it's in a little place called Little Bay. And it's a really, really nice spot there as well. And it'll be a new gym. Hopefully will be open in October. Give me one sec. Yeah, I'd also, hold on, my wife had fixed that, so it probably was the right thing to do. Yeah, and we also bought a new house. So we bought a house that we're living in now. And yeah, so a lot of different things, real busy, man. It's been crazy. And the time just flew. I thought 3 or 4 months and I'll be back on. But that 3 or 4 months became 2 years. Oliver Ekman says, it's nice to see everyone. It's like Joseph and Oliver Ekman basically saying the same thing. It's like a big family reunion. And Absolutely Based says, welcome back, Fab. Welcome back to you guys as well, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for the support. I love doing it. I love doing the little podcast that we have a good time and we get to watch the fights and have a chat about stuff. So that's what I love to do the most. So other than, of course, spend time with my family and that. But yeah, no. So here we are. I'm interested in a lot of the fights. Obviously, Joseph says, Coach, glad everything is working for you. Congrats on the 3 kids. Yeah, man, it's full on. It's full on. Like the 3 kids under 3.5. It's wild. You know what I mean? It's wild. I'm really looking forward to in particular. I'm really looking forward to Alex Paredo versus Jan Blakovitz fight. That's a fight that I'm looking forward to today, more than anything. Beetlejuice says, Fabsky, glad to see you back in action. 3 kids, no wonder you losing your hair. Yeah. Joe Schmo says, Fab for Prime Minister. You don't want me as Prime Minister, mate. Absolutely Basis serial father. Mitch G says, does Ferguson have a good chance to win? I got a feeling he's going to be on today. Look, I don't think he hasn't got a chance, but I think that he's getting close to 40, if I'm not mistaken. He's a pressure fighter that likes to come forward fighting a counter fighter who's a little bit younger. So Bobby Green wants Ferguson to come forward fighting the way that he does. And I just think, again, altitude plays a factor in all of these things, and as you get older, the fitness and all that stuff, it does affect you. And I think Ferguson coming forward on a counter striker is not the best thing. That's my opinion. But I like Bobby Green too, though. I like Bobby Green as well. So it's hard for me to pick. It's hard for me to pick against him. I'll tell you a funny story. I was in Kansas City with when I was coaching Rob, and Rob beat Jacare. And I'm pretty sure it was Kansas City. I could be wrong. It was Kansas City when Rob fought Jacare, but I don't know if this was the card. I'm 70% sure this was that card. Anyways, Bobby Green had lost that day or the day before, and I saw him walking back to the hotel. He was by himself, just minding his own business, and I went up to him and I said, hey, man, I'm a big fan of yours. I know you didn't get it done, but, good for you. You're a champion. I like watching you fight. And Bobby Green just looked at me like for a second, like proper looked at me, and he goes, I love you, man. He goes, I fucking love you, man. And he walked off. He shook my hand and he walked off, and he was like a genuinely good dude, man. Like he was a genuinely good dude. So I always cheer for Bobby Green. He's one of those dudes who was actually like genuinely nice guy. SG says, greetings from Canada, Fab. Great to have you back. Thank you, SG, and I'm glad to be back. Joe Schmo says, good to see all the OG Grange TV boys here again. Yes, man, I love it. Coach, if you could be so kind and give us your thoughts on the last fight of Rob. Joseph, I will, but I can't talk too much about it. Like I've always said before, give that caveat or give that disclaimer. Being that I've worked with him and anyone that I've worked with, I'm kind of never going to give too much of a conversation about. But I'm going to say more about Dricus in as far as like if Dricus is that good that he could do that to someone like Rob, and let's say, I don't know if he was or if he wasn't, but let's say Rob wasn't injured, wasn't sick, then that we'll never know, But if that was Rob at his best and he was good and Dricus could do that to him, then I think that Dricus can beat anyone then, because you don't beat one of the best middleweights to ever do it by accident. You know what I mean? Not the way that he won as well. That was pretty crazy. I did not give him, I'm not going to lie, I did not give him a chance to beat Rob. I did not. I thought Rob would beat him 10 out of 10 times. And I still kind of think that, in that I know how good Rob is, so I don't know what happened. I don't know. There were some interesting little things that I took from that fight, though, that I'm not going to necessarily share here. But one of the things that, like, I think people, when Rob got taken down, one of the things that happened as well was he got taken down. Anyone that grapples, you'll remember what I'm saying, and you'll get it straight away when you go and grapple tomorrow or tonight or whenever. Rob was in half guard, but he was with his right underhook in, so he was on his offside, and it took a while for Rob to get back and have his left underhook in. And when Rob did get his left underhook in, eventually and that was like right at the end of the round, but he ate a lot of ground and pound and was able to get up. Now, was Dricus, and this is one of the things that I think about, I think, did Dricus purposefully push that position on Rob? Like, because that's one of the things when I'll coach people, one of the things that I'll work on is to pass to the offside, to pass it, the guy gets his right underhook or her right underhook on you, because it's much harder to do unless, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about if you're grappling Craig Jones, it's not going to matter. He's just going to fucking tap you. There's none of that. But if you're grappling somebody, especially for MMA, where a lot of the guys, even the black belts, don't get the reps in passing with their right, when somebody's passing with their right, and you're defending from half guard and you have your right underhook in. If Dricus was that clued on to do that, or if it just landed in that situation, but he still took advantage of it, or maybe or he didn't know. But that was one of the things that I thought, this is interesting. This is interesting because I know that would have been a hard position to be in. The thing that I can't go into too much detail. Please understand this, because there's things that I know and there's things that I think that I'm not going to share. The thing is, for Rob as well, it's an interesting situation because he's transitioning from being, in my opinion, this is a lot of those guys in that division. They were the young guys in that division not too long ago. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're on the older side. Not physically that this affects him, but the fact that, and Dricus himself spoke to this, that you are now, there are guys that you're going to be fighting, right, that may have been watching you as a pro for 10 years. They might have been watching you fight for 10 years. They've been idolizing you. They've been mimicking your game. They've been figuring out ways to beat you. And you were fighting for a world title. You were fighting for number 5 spot, and they were in high school. And they're not on your radar, but you're on theirs. And this is a big change for you. You know what I mean? This is a big change. This is a big change, things you have to do on that. So I think that there were a few things like that, I think, that came out in this fight, in my opinion. And I think people start, on the back of what I said, people starting to be able to read the blitz. And people criticize Rob, but man, one thing is to read it, one thing is to know, and the other thing is to stop it. This is not, it works until it doesn't work, and it works more often than not. So that's my take on it. I think Rob's a fucking beast, and nobody is gonna have an easy fight with him. Anyways, that's my opinion. Paredo versus Blakovitz is going to be a banger fight. Yeah, man, I can't wait for that fight. I cannot wait. I'm a huge fan of Alex Paredo. I've been a huge fan of Alex's from back in the glory days for a long time. Original Sin says, welcome back, coach. Welcome back, Original Sin. So good to see you. 3 is a crowd and a bundle of joy. Yes, sir. What is your take between Costa versus Hamzat, please? Man, Costa and Hamzat, I think that I don't know because they're both kind of enigmas. Like the last time I saw Costa fight was in Salt Lake City, right? In Salt Lake City at altitude. And so it didn't really give me a good take of where he was at. And the fight before that was Marvin Vettori. And he looked terrible in that fight, and he didn't make weight. That was a whole saga. So I couldn't really give you a good read on that. And the fight before that was, if I'm not mistaken, Israel, which, Israel is what he is. So what Costa will look like now is an enigma. I don't know. I don't know how he would have looked against Rockhold if they weren't at altitude, because altitude is a big X factor. It will be a big X factor tonight in a lot of the fights. And I haven't seen Hamza as a middleweight. I've seen him fight at middleweight against Meerschaert, but I haven't seen him as a middleweight, and he's obviously had some time off and hopefully grown into his frame a little more. And so I don't know what he's going to look like at middleweight. So it's a little bit it throws you off a little bit. The one thing I will say is that he's a little younger, and I think that there's more room for him to grow, like in terms of his striking and that, because grappling is unbelievable. But in terms of his striking and that, he's got a lot more room to grow. He's got a lot of different things to do. When seeing him fight Gilbert at welterweight was really impressive to me, because there's not going to be a lot of people that can defend themselves off their back the way that Gilbert can. Gilbert, world champion in jiu-jitsu. So there's not going to be a lot of those. And there isn't anyone that I can see, maybe Paul Craig or someone like that, that's really comfortable off their back at middleweight. But not any of the guys in the top 5 or so. I can't think of them off their backs being able to deal with Hamzat if he gets them there. And I think that if Hamzat can get Costa on his back and hold him there, it's going to be a problem. That's what I definitely think. First 6-7 minutes, Costa's going to be a fucking monster too, though. I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough of them, to be honest with you. Now we have Kissa and Holland about to step into the cage. This fight's going to be, I'm going to have to skip a few people. I'll probably come back, guys, to this. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to skip a few. So we got Kissa versus Holland here. I think Holland's going to get this done. You know what I mean? I think he's going to get it done. Somebody said, Bodybuilding News says, MMA Guru made a pretty good analysis of Rob, in my opinion. Again, I can't say too much. You know what I mean? I can't say, this was good or it was wrong or whatever, because it's someone I've worked with for a long time, man. I'm never going to speak too much about that. It's not, it's a conflict of interest. If I work with someone and I know something, I can't or even imply that I don't know something about it. I'm just not going to speak about it too much, especially while they're still active. You know what I mean? I think that I think Holland's going to get it done. I think it's hard for Michael Kissa to apply his game, which is it has to be a grappling match. I don't think he's going to beat Holland on the feet. To do that for 15 minutes at altitude is hard. I don't know that he's going to be able to do that. Joseph says, I still can't believe Michael Kissa made lightweight. Dude, I met that guy in real life and I did not know that it was Michael Kissa, and I watch fights all the time. I watched him like he was in between fights. and he was fighting at lightweight, and he must have weighed, he's over 90 kilos easily. And he's tall, like he's taller than me, and he's broad and he's big, man. And I didn't know who he was. He came up to me, we were talking. He's lovely, 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 lovely guy. And I was thinking, who the fuck's this guy? Because he was familiar, but I did not associate him with a lightweight. He was way over 90 kilos, like way over, not fat, just big forearms, big arms, just like a huge guy. You know, I remember talking to him, and he was like right there in front of me, and we were talking. And then when he walked out, I was like, that's fucking Michael Kissa. I could not believe him, man. I could not believe how big he was. Yeah, they're about to fight. They're about to fight. Not quite yet. Guys, like I said, I apologize if I skipped you, because the fights are about to start, so I just got to get to the fights. Yeah, he's a big boy, man. He's a very big boy. Like I said, I think Kissa can get him down. I think that Kissa can get to half guard. I think that he can hold him down. But even Hamzat had trouble holding Holland down, like initially, you know. So I don't know that Kissa is going to be able to just sit there and hold him down for 15 minutes. And I don't think he can outstrike Holland. So my pick is Holland in this fight. That's me. Let me know what you guys think. They're about to start. The ring girl just came out of the cage, and we're about to go. And they're ready to go. Okay. So they touch gloves, and they're in the middle. Kissa's in the southpaw stance with Holland in orthodox stance. He's pouring away with his hand is Kissa. Holland is staying nice and low. He's got a kind of bladed stance, but he's lower than usual than he is. So I think he knows that he's susceptible for the takedown, but he seems to have addressed that somewhat. You know, he's pouring away. They're both kind of pouring at each other. And looks for an uppercut, does Holland. Holland controlling the center of the cage. Looks for an uppercut again. Hits. Oh, he's hurt Kissa. Kissa's looking for a takedown. He's not going to get it from that position. Holland has landed a big uppercut on Kissa. Kissa is skirting the outside of the octagon. They clash. He drops Kissa, does Holland, hits him with some ground and pound. Kissa's trying to wrestle up. He's got double underhooks, and he's got both butterflies in. He's got a butterfly guard in. And Holland's on top. Holland's able to shimmy out of the double underhooks that Kissa had. Kissa throws two little like uppercuts and a little overhand right. And Holland once again controlling the center, looks for a straight right, which he connects. Like I did not think that Kissa was going to be able to stand with him, and it certainly doesn't look like he will. Kissa's stand-up is very mechanical, and in this fight, it's definitely looking that way. Again, now Kissa's starting to move forward. He's in the center of the octagon himself. Again, he comes looking for the single leg, which he grabs. Holland goes looking for the uppercut. Now went looking for the double leg against the fence, did Kissa, but Holland did a good job of moving the legs up, and now Holland puts Kissa up against the cage. A few body rips now from Holland. Kissa looks for a trip, gets a deep double leg, and he's going to be able to finish this? No. It was a deep double leg on Holland. Now, big reactions from Kissa. Holland is faking the uppercut, and he's getting big reactions out of Kissa. Kissa tries to punch his way in. He's dropping his head, eats a knee, shoots a single leg. Holland is able to sprawl on it. Holland is now looking for a Das. Mind you, Kissa has been finished by Das a number of times. Kissa rolls onto his back to avoid the Das. His taps. Holland finishes him with the Das. Great work from Holland. He looked very, 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 very good. That was really, really cool. Very, very good. Lean McHungry says Salt Lake City is 4,000 above sea level. Geez, tough on the lungs, man. If you were not there for, I'd say to you, 4 to 6 weeks, you're not gonna acclimate to it. People have gotten there 2 weeks early. That's not enough. It isn't enough. That's 2 weeks early is good for like your body to acclimate to it, but it's not enough for you to compete at an elite level. Like that. Like one of the best examples, I said this yesterday when I did the breakdown, one of the best examples of that is if you watch the South American qualifiers in soccer, football, when they qualify for the World Cup, you see the difference. Like if you watch the Bolivian team versus like the Argentine team or the Brazilian team, who are, some of the best in the world, the difference between the scores, like they'll lose, they'll get absolutely decimated, in Buenos Aires or Rio or wherever, get absolutely murdered, lose 4-5-0. And then when they go and they play in La Paz, which I'm pretty sure is the highest stadium in the world. If it's not the highest, it'd be one of the highest. The scores are completely different. Like the Bolivians win, if they did a World Cup in Bolivia, they'd be world champions, I reckon. And you see the discrepancies because you play a home game and an away game. And when you see them play at home, the discrepancy is huge. SG says, what a fight. Yes, it was crazy. SG, the altitude and the recent KO loss gives me worries for Paredo. Yes, the recent KO loss for sure. I think that Paredo is... The thing is for Paredo, I think the cardio and that is actually going to be a lot better for him at light heavyweight, because people don't understand. He's not a middleweight going up. He was a light heavyweight. Like his last title in kickboxing was at light heavyweight. His last fight in kickboxing was at light heavyweight. So I think it would have been harder for him coming down, harder for him to take shots, harder for him to come down, harder on his cardio at middleweight. I do think that the KO, though, was a big one, that one to Israel. I don't think people saw exactly how long he was out for. Like, it was a fucking big shot. But is the kickboxing guys in particular, this Paredo and that, they've been knocked out before and come back and fought. So I do think, but he's getting older as well. I think, though, that it's harder for Jan Jan's only been there for 2 weeks himself, and it's harder. The style of fighting outside of Jan just catching Alex, the style of fighting that Jan has to do is going to require more energy than what Alex has to do. Alex is not going to be pushing takedowns or needing to push takedowns like that. If Jan catches Alex is going to go out on his shield, but more than likely, Jan is going to be the one that's going to try and get a takedown, and that takes a lot of energy. Alex is very good at shooting those little kicks. Well, not little, but those kicks into the legs and into the body. And that doesn't require a lot of energy, to kick the body, like a nice little front kick to the body, and it will start to take a lot out of you, it'll take a lot out of Jan. Bodybuilding News says, I went to a wrestling camp in Colorado as a kid and I wanted to die when they made us run. I couldn't figure out why, because I was a stupid kid and didn't know about elevation. Man, you're not stupid, dude. You're not stupid, Bodybuilding News. It catches a lot of people out. It catches a lot of the pro fighters out, man. Like they don't understand, like 2 weeks isn't going to do it. Like it's just not going to do it. The physiological adaptations to compete at a high level aren't going to do it. Everyone's different, but yeah, generally, if it was me, I'd say 4 to 6 weeks if you're going to fight at that kind of elevation. SG says altitude is nature's blood doping mechanism. Yes, sir. SG says Paredo looked a lot faster at light heavyweight in Glory. Now that you mention it, yeah, I think that, like I said to you, I think he's definitely a light heavyweight that moved down to middleweight, which makes sense as well, because the buzz was around him and Israel. But that fight was a long time ago, that fight, or the fights in Glory and that were a long time ago. So I think that it made sense because it created the storyline behind it and everything. But for him to get down to middleweight, like at 36 too, 35, 36, 34 years old even, would have been a lot of work. He's not It wasn't like he was like I said, like a middleweight going up to light heavyweight. No, the Ferguson fight's about to kick off now. Yeah, no, elevation is no joke, my friends. No joke. I think that Bobby Green will get this one done. I picked against Kissa, and I was pretty much right with that one. But yeah, I can't see Ferguson's style suiting the situation here in the same way. I can't see him being able to come forward and pressure and take shots on the back foot. So Mitch G says Ferguson by sub. Maybe, but I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard. Mitch G, SG says Israel predicts Paredo's wins by KO. I tend to agree there. I think that it's very, very hard to fight that kind of grueling style that I think Jan is going to need against Paredo. And even if Jan doesn't have to take it to the ground, like let's say even if Jan goes, I'm pretty comfortable here fighting on my feet, and Jan's 40 years old, and he has credentials in kickboxing, and he's going to be comfortable in kickboxing, but it's still going to, even if they just stayed on their feet, it's still going to be easier for Paredo to fight on his feet than it's going to be for Jan. Paredo's going to be more comfortable on his feet, that's for sure. So the high level kickboxing fights that he's had, you can't like buy that experience. So I definitely think I think that he has the advantage. SG says, hot take, Paredo winning the middleweight title is one of the most monumental events in combat sports history. I definitely think that. Like, I think that he and Cejudo are probably neck and neck with being the best combat athletes that I can think of off the top of my head. Like, you don't win an Olympic gold medal in wrestling by accident, and you don't win belts in 2 weight divisions in MMA. Like, it's unheard of, you know what I mean? Like, to do that across those different disciplines, a different thing entirely. Then you think of Paredo, and Paredo won 2 kickboxing titles, in 2 different divisions, in middleweight and light heavyweight. Then he came across and beat one of the most dominant champions ever in Israel Adesanya at middleweight, and he could win the light heavyweight belt. If he wins a light heavyweight belt, I'd have to say he's the greatest combat athlete. Like, you can't win 2, it's unheard of to do something like that, and right now I think Cejudo is, but yeah, please correct me if I'm wrong. Mitch D says, but really I'm thinking Bobby KO or Ferguson sub. Oliver Ekman says, I agree at SG. And SG says, waltzing to UFC and finishing Israel Adesanya in 4 fights is borderline fictional. Yeah, the way that, like, how what he's achieved, is pretty crazy. And I'm really keen to see him at light heavyweight, because at light heavyweight, I do think that's his natural weight, like at this point in his life. And I don't like seeing a guy like in his late 30s now cutting that much weight. I don't think that's that would be beneficial for him at all. I think he's a big guy, and he looks like a light heavyweight. He doesn't look like a middleweight that's gone up to light heavy. The fact that he simply hit Israel was already astonishing, says SG. Look, there's 2 things about Israel I think that people the number one thing is he's very elusive, and everybody knows this. Everybody can see it. He's very elusive. Even when you hit him, he rolls with it really well. Everyone can see this, I think, anyways. The thing that I don't think people credit Israel for is for how tough and durable he is. He's had like 100 different combat fights, and he's been finished twice by the same guy. And you see the shots that he does take, that he has taken, and he's taken them flush, and he takes them. He's very, very, very durable. That's something that not many people give Israel a lot of credit for. And that, like, when you see the way that Paredo in that first fight worked the body of Israel, and I was watching that fight because people say like Israel was winning every round. Like, yeah, he might have been winning it on the scorecards or whatever, but Paredo was landing huge shots to the body the whole fight. And I was watching it and I was thinking, dude, those shots, he'd be feeling those shots. Credit to Paredo for landing them, because that would have worn on Israel. But how tough Israel has to be to take those shots. Because I'm telling you right now, not many other middleweights, light heavyweights are going to take Paredo's shots to the body like that. No way. Bodybuilding News says, thoughts on Andrew Tate as a kickboxer? His last fight was against a 19-year-old making his debut. I don't know enough about Andrew Tate, to be honest with you, as a kickboxer or anything like that. I'm aware that he's an internet personality and that he's like huge on YouTube. And I don't know. I know that his dad was a famous chess grandmaster. I don't know enough about him as a kickboxer. Like, I know he was world champion and that, but I don't know enough about him. Yeah. SG says Paredo is a literal antithesis of Israel. Maybe. Randy says, what do you think about DP and Israel? I'm assuming, Randy, that you mean DDP. Like I said before, if DDP is that good that he could beat Rob the way that he did, if Rob wasn't injured, wasn't hurt, wasn't sick or anything like this, I will never know if that was the case or not. If he's actually that good that he can beat Rob like that, then he can beat anyone in the world. That's for sure. He may look a little bit funny doing it because he's got like a really awkward style. I didn't pick him. I wouldn't be able to say that he'd be the favorite against Israel. No way. The thing is as well that they've trained together, and I don't care too much about what happened in as far as like the technicalities of what happened, who beat who or who did or who didn't. That's not, it was a long time ago. So the actual technique part of it, I don't really care because they'd be both completely different. But there is a thing to say, because when you grab someone, there's certain people you grab them. And there's an X factor about that person, like there's something about them, like where they're either really, really strong or they're not quite as strong as you thought, or their levers are longer than what you thought, or their joints are thicker than what you thought they would be, or their hands have got particularly big hands or particularly small hands and they couldn't grab you like this, they couldn't grab you like that. The fact that they've trained together before and felt each other's strengths and each other's timing and whatnot, is interesting to me as far as that. I don't necessarily know, I don't know who's going to win necessarily. I'd favor Israel, of course, but he could definitely, it's interesting, it's an interesting thing because you'd be in the back of your mind what that other person feels like. People saying hello to each other. I'm really glad to see that. I like it. I love it. I love watching everybody interact. It's so funny. Fumples and Fimple says, doesn't it make sense we need to develop sensors in MMA gloves that register force landed? Because judges probably get swayed by corners screaming out, you hit him when you don't hit hard or even miss. I think all of that's true. I don't know how applicable that is. I don't know. Also, I don't know, yes, it's in the first and foremost, I'd say yes. But the thing is that you can hit someone real hard and not everyone has the same effect when they get hit. And it depends where you hit someone. So if you hit someone like Mark Hunt real hard and you get him right in the forehead, it's not as big of a deal as if you hit me right in my forehead. You'd fucking kill me. So it wouldn't be worth the same as well. So it's a hard thing to judge. So when you're judging, I think there's always going to be a degree of subjectivity, because not the same amount of force on different people is not going to be as effective. I think that's definitely something. But the thing with the corners and that, yeah, you definitely, having been in not just one corner, but in a lot of corners, like, yes, it definitely, you learn to say the right things at the right time and sway the you try and sway the judges as well, and feedback that you give, and where you're fighting matters a lot because the crowd will cheer the home guy on anything they do. So, and also their reaction might work against the hometown guy if the hometown guy is losing. So it definitely does sway the crowd, sway the judges. Joseph says, I'm still in awe on how fighters have that switch turned on the moment they step inside the octagon. I'm pretty sure I'm a coward before and after I enter the cage. Yeah, man, it's just an interesting thing for sure. Now I'm watching. They're both in the octagon now. I think Bobby Green's going to get it done. I do think that. SG says, "Yep. How do you score damage against someone like Holloway? Yeah, like there's a lot of different things. You know what I mean? Like different people take shots differently. Some people, like me, I've got skinny little legs. If someone were to kick me on my legs really hard, it would mess up my legs. Whereas you could probably kick Jan Blakovitz as hard as you like, shin to shin, and it won't do a thing, So yeah, that's an interesting thing. Hassan says, Fab, I did my best to turn up despite not staying up for a UFC card since last year. UK timing is tough. I really appreciate it, man. I really, 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 really appreciate you being on here, Hassan. All right, we are about to kick off, guys. I will come back. Sorry if I missed any people. Bobby Green and Tony Ferguson both looking keen to jump out there. They jump out here, and Tony Ferguson is switching stances back and forwards, pressuring and controlling the center of the octagon as Bobby Green is fighting out of southpaw. Lunges forward does Bobby Green and hits him with a lead left hand. Ferguson takes a whirl and moves backwards. Ferguson dips his head and Bobby Green goes looking for a strike. Bobby Green doing a good job fighting out of southpaw. Ferguson is switching stances from orthodox to southpaw. Bobby Green goes looking for a side kick. I think this is going to be a little bit erratic and then it's going to have to settle down. Nice little check hook by Bobby Green on Tony Ferguson. What I don't like for Ferguson here is that Bobby Green is starting to look like he's starting to get his timing and get his distance on the entries. Ferguson is starting to hesitate a little bit with his entries. Looks for a single leg, is able to lock his hands, and now he's looking for the back against the cage. He's got one hook in. He's doing a good job, is Bobby Green, of not going to the ground, and Ferguson loses the hook. And Green is off the cage. He did a good job defending that. That would have taken quite a bit of energy. Like I said, at altitude, that a fair bit of energy to do that. Ferguson's moving left, right, moving a lot of erratic movements, a lot of how he fights, how he always fights. Nice left kick by Bobby Green and hits Ferguson with a jab, then with an outside leg kick, then with another follow-up with the hands. Ferguson goes looking for a front kick down the middle. Bobby Green with a counter. Big reactions from Ferguson too when he gets hit. But he's doing a good job of pressuring, is Ferguson. Big reactions, though, to the feints and to the hits from Bobby Green. Bobby Green hits Ferguson with a left hand, but gets hit with a counter jab from Ferguson for his troubles. It goes looking for an inside leg kick, does Bobby Green. Ferguson's pouring away with a jab, controlling the center of the octagon. Bobby Green goes under a left hand of Ferguson's. Bobby Green has his back to the octagon. Ferguson goes looking for a right hand. They exchange right hands. Nice oblique kick by Bobby Green and hits Ferguson with a left hand. Oh, Ferguson drops Bobby Green with a right hand. It looked like he did. It may have been a slip. But it looked like he dropped him with a right hand. It may have been a slip. I couldn't see clearly, but it may have been a slip. And looks like an inadvertent eye poke from Bobby Green on Ferguson. Ferguson is complaining. They've stopped the fight. Ferguson has his hands on his hips. He's walking around. Mark Whelan says DDP's a breath of fresh air in the division. I definitely think that division, needed a little bit of a transfusion of new blood. But there is some people there. It's going to look interesting. I think Hamzat, Aliskerov. I think Imavov is going to be a force in that division in the future. I think Nickel, of course, Nickel, Roman Kopylov. There's a few guys in there now that are starting to look like, in the next couple of years could make some serious waves. Fimple says, do you have any insight on how competent judges even are? I think it's a ridiculously hard job to do, man. I think they cop huge amounts of shit for a job that, if no matter who judged, you're going to eat shit. This is like people act like if they judged the fights that they would get it right. And I'm telling you right now, anyone who thinks that, you should go ref like a high school basketball game, and you'll see like just the amount of pressure that there is. And you got to make decisions like this. Like even now when I'm calling the fight and I'm like, oh, he hit him with the right hand. And like, I couldn't tell straight away. And it won't be until I watch it back later if it was a slip or a hit. And I might have seen it differently than other people. We've restarted, guys. Now Bobby Green is fighting out of orthodox. They're both fighting out of orthodox. Ferguson's looking for a way in. Oh, little right high kick when he dipped his head by Bobby Green. The thing that I'm seeing here is that it looks like Ferguson is kind of like settling down. He's not as erratic with his movements. I don't know if that's more because he may be tired, maybe starting to get a little bit tired, or if he's just settled down a little bit. But Bobby Green just got him with a lead right hand. Ferguson is trying to come in off the back of these oblique kicks, so he's lifting his knees. All these movements, they're large movements, and they require a lot of oxygen when you do it. Plus the fact that he's not stopping and he's moving a lot. Bobby Green is hitting him on the counter, and he is hitting him. He's throwing these 1-2s. He's either throwing a 1-2 or a 2-1. Either or, either Ferguson's coming in or Bobby Green is waiting for him. Hits him with a huge right kick to the body. Does Bobby Green? Ferguson goes looking for a left high kick, but it was a little bit slow and lazy kind of thing. 1-2 landed by Bobby Green. Bobby Green goes under the right hand of Tony Ferguson and then hits him with a side kick. Ferguson's moving, a little Ali shuffle. Nice, slips out of the way of a left hand. Ferguson throws a right hand and then a switch front kick. The thing that both fighting out of orthodox stances now. They trade right hands. Little check hook by Bobby Green, check left hook, then hits Ferguson with a 2-1. Goes looking now, he's talking to him and he's moved Ferguson up against the cage. Ferguson comes out of the way. Oh, little flurry landed by Bobby Green. Bobby Green starting to land. It's starting to get the timing. 3 seconds to go. I would give that round. I'm not judging the fights, by the way. I'm not judging the fights. If it wasn't a right hand that dropped Bobby Green and it was in fact a slip, I would have to give that round to Bobby Green, my opinion. So what I'm saying, going back to how competent I think the judges are, I just think it's a ridiculously tough job, and I wouldn't want to do it, and I don't even understand how the fuck you'd be talked into doing that job, because I can't imagine it pays a shit ton either. So it's incredibly hard, and it doesn't matter how you change it. When you have subjectivity of any kind of judging criteria, you're going to come up fucking short whenever it goes to a close decision. Oliver Ekman says that was no slip. No, I didn't think it was, but I couldn't see. There it is. I saw it now clear. It landed flush on on the face of Bobby Green. But Bobby Green was kicking as well at the same time. And that's my point exactly. Like the second round started, I can't say to you 100% unequivocally, yeah, this did that much damage. Because to me, he was kicking as well. He was kind of off balance when he got hit, while he did get hit flush. Ferguson goes looking for a low single. Bobby sprawls really nicely, throws combinations, starts to land them on Ferguson. They're both exchanging. Oh, nice little combination landed by Bobby Green. Again, Ferguson trying to punch his way in. He comes in. Nothing really is landing from either one of them. Bobby Green lands another check hook as Ferguson starts to come in. Right hand landed by Bobby Green. Ferguson's shots, he's throwing them kind of shy, kind of from a little bit far away. Ferguson went for kind of like a single leg, then went to change it into like an Emanari roll. Now he's on his back looking for a triangle. It's not going to get a big hammer fist from Bobby Green. Bobby Green is staying in the open guard of Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is eating a few hammer shots. He's doing a good job of defending them, of deflecting them rather, but some shots are getting through, and he's throwing hammer fists back off his of his own, looking for this triangle to land on Bobby Green. And I know now he's in the closed guard of Tony Ferguson is Bobby Green. Ferguson's doing a good job of holding Bobby Green's posture down, and there seemed to land an elbow of his own. So he's landing these downward elbows, but not flush. He's not landing them flush. Bobby Green is definitely getting the better of the exchanges here on the ground. Bobby Green passes the guard of Ferguson. Ferguson looks to retain his guard. He's looking for half guard. He's got his guard back, and Bobby Green is standing up over the top of the guard of Ferguson and goes looking for a right hand, and he's back. He's standing up, so he is susceptible to an up kick here. Now he's back. He's got down on one knee, so he can't be up kicked. And Ferguson is still throwing up his legs. Bobby Green's doing a very good job here in this open guard of Ferguson's. Ferguson's not doing enough damage off his back he's not going to win this round like this, unless he's able to catch Bobby Green in some sort of submission, which Bobby Green seems very savvy to it. He's got very good posture. So his posture his chest is up. So he's not posturing down or in any shape, way, or form like that. Now he's got a close guard, does Tony Ferguson. And Bobby Green is just throwing strikes from inside of Ferguson's closed guard, but Ferguson is not holding down the posture of Bobby Green. Now he is. Now he's got a closed guard. Now he's holding the posture of Bobby Green. But Bobby Green is able to posture up straight away. Man, I don't like watching this fight anymore because it just doesn't look like the Ferguson of old, and he's not holding the posture down of Bobby Green enough to be able to be effective with his submission attempts. And Bobby Green is landing hammer fists from time to time. Like he's not smashing them, but he's landing the hammer fists. Ferguson looks for elbows there, but he hasn't broken the posture to land the elbows properly. So if we haven't broken the posture, you're not going to land those elbows. Ferguson gets up and he's looking the worse for wear. Left hand landed by Bobby Green. Left hand landed by Ferguson. Ferguson goes looking for a jab. Bobby Green feint and big bites on the feints by Ferguson. Check hook landed by Bobby Green. Ferguson's kind of out there now eating shots. He's eating shots. He's trying to take them on the forehead, but he's eating these shots, man. He's not getting out of the way of the shots anymore. There's 1 minute to go in the second round. Bobby Green is definitely starting to land the shots. Almost got hit by a right hand then from Ferguson. But Bobby Green is now hitting him with ones and twos. They haven't got huge amount of power, but they're definitely landing. And Ferguson's face is starting to look the worse for wear in this fight. I don't like to see these fights with the older guys like this, veterans, taking shots like this. 27 seconds to go in the second round. Ferguson lands a jab of his own, lands another jab, so inside leg kick landed by Bobby Green. Bobby Green fighting with his hands down out of the southpaw stance, gets out of the way of Ferguson lead hook. Ferguson still coming forward, but Jabs landed by Bobby Green. Oh, right hand landed by Ferguson. No. Oh, big left hand landed by Bobby Green on the buzzer. 2 rounds to none, in my opinion, by Bobby Green. Bodybuilding news says Tony fighting in general is depressing. Dude has mental health issues documented, and getting punched in the face can't help. I agree with you, man. I do agree with you. Mark Whelan says Bobby seems to have all the answers to Tony's offense. It's not the Tony we once saw. No. Mitch G says, wonder if altitude will come in a factor. I think altitude will 100% come in a factor. It's just a question of like to what extent, you know what I mean? It's definitely going to come into a factor for sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a question of how, like the way that Bobby Green's fighting, he can fight like that all night, more or less, you know, because he's not the one pressing, he's not the one coming forward, and he's not the one taking the damage. The amount of damage that Ferguson has taken now, like just cumulative effect of the damage that he's taken in this fight, it's a lot. Like his face is messed up, he's hurt, you know, it's hard. Yeah, Bobby's looking tired for sure, but his style is much more economic than Ferguson's. And he's up 2-0, in my opinion. You know, I could be wrong, but I'm not judging the fights, but I do think he won both rounds. Ferguson's coming forward and gets hit by a check hook. Gets taken down by Bobby Green. Bobby Green caught a front kick and just lifted the heel up, and Ferguson fell. But Bobby Green decided not to follow him down. Bobby Green looks tired. He's got his hands down, like he always fights with his hands down, but he's not getting it out of the way of the shots as much. And Ferguson looks happy to keep coming forward. Now, Ferguson, I don't know if he still does, but did a lot of his camps out of Big Bear, which is at altitude. And so over a prolonged period of time, he'd be very well aware of altitude. So I don't see him not being prepared in that regard. Bobby Green lands a big left hand to the body and then an overhand right, and both landed on Ferguson, then hits Ferguson with a check hook. He's able to slide out of the way of Ferguson's attacks and then counter quite crisply over the top. Ferguson hits him with a small right hand. Bobby Green staying just out of the way of Ferguson's attacks. Oh, hits him with a nice little counter left. Nice left hand to the body again by Bobby Green. Doing a good job of going to the body. I think at altitude, that's something that you'd want to see, like a lot of body work. Nice little right kick by Bobby Green. Another front kick to the body by Bobby Green. Inside leg kick by Bobby Green. Bobby Green fighting out of southpaw position, and Ferguson's fighting out of southpaw as well. Now Ferguson switches back. Nice lead left hand by Bobby Green, followed by a right hand. Bobby Green again, left hand to the body of Ferguson. I think he's soon going to be looking to fake that and hit him to the head, because, oh, nice right hand by Ferguson. Because again, now Ferguson's starting to bite quite hard on that shot to the body, and he's holding his right hand a little lower than he was before. Another little front kick to the body by Bobby Green. There's the left hand to the head by Bobby Green, followed by a right hand. A 1-2 landed by Bobby Green to the head of Ferguson. I think he's going to go back to the body now, is Bobby Green. That was really good. He's shown a lot of maturity in the way he's approaching the striking here against Tony Ferguson. You know, the way he's going to the body, and then going back to the head, and then back to the body. He's doing a very good job of this, is Bobby Green. Bobby Green is walking Ferguson onto his shots. Ferguson's tried just a few kicks now, a couple of body kicks. He's starting to have a little bit of success kicking the legs and the body of Bobby Green. Bobby Green is skirting the outside of the octagon, leading the dance, making Ferguson follow him and walk onto the punches. He's doing a good job of that. Nice kick landed there by Ferguson. Oh, I couldn't see that clearly. I think he threw a left high kick, did Ferguson, and must have slipped and fallen. Bobby Green chose not to follow him to the ground with 1:38 left. Lands a 2-1, does Bobby Green. Another lead left hand landed by Bobby Green. Ferguson goes looking for a right hand of his own. Ferguson gets hit with a left hand to the body and a right hand to the head by Bobby Green. Bobby Green with a side kick to the legs of Tony Ferguson. Ferguson walking forward, showing the great heart that he has. Looks for a spinning back fist, misses and gets hit with a 2-1 by Bobby Green. Bobby Green now fighting out of the orthodox stance. Both guys in orthodox, and Bobby Green switches back to southpaw. Oh, not sure if Bobby Green got hurt there or if he just kind of stumbled. And now there's a kind of went for a Victor roll, did Ferguson, looking for a leg lock, I believe. He's in the guard. He's not going to win this from the guard, I don't think. He's eating hammer fists off Bobby Green now on the ground with 40 seconds to go as Bobby Green attempts to pass, and now he's in half guard. He's in half guard. There's a buggy choke. I think he's going to attempt a buggy choke is Ferguson, but now Bobby Green has a position of head arm himself here, and he's on the wrong side, but he could be able to do this to Ferguson. He might be able to do it. There's 20 seconds to go. He might get this head arm choke, especially at altitude. Ferguson is trying to scoot his hips out of the way. Bobby Green can just hold him here for 10 seconds. He might be out. Yeah, he submitted Tony Ferguson with a head arm choke. Wow. There you go. Wow. I predicted that he'd win, but I did not predict that it would be like that. Mitch G says, Tony just looks old. Yeah, I don't like seeing Tony fight. Blake from the Lake, welcome back, Fab, you beautiful man. Thank you, sir. Guys, if you don't know who Blake from the Lake is, Blake is an exceptional grappler, and he's one of the instructors at my gym at Port Authority. Known Blake since he was about 5 years old. Blake from the Lake, has done a lot of training in the past with Volkanovski and with Rob and all those guys. We trained together. Blake known each other 25 years. Sorry, I might miss a few people. Mark Whelan says, Bobby's physically and mentally streets ahead. It's tragic to see Tony fighting again. He needs to retire and find himself again. Yeah, man, I don't like to see him fight, to be honest with you. Whether he can get a win or not, I don't really care. It's just like you're sustaining a lot of damage, even in training camps and that. It'd be so hard at that age, So yeah, he's a tough man, but unfortunately being tough in this kind of sport is not enough, and that's what's going to get you killed or hurt. So I don't really want to see him fight anymore. Like, I think he's a monster. He was a monster in his time as well, but I don't like seeing it. Fantastic job by Bobby Green. Fantastic job. Is very, very mature in his approach to it. He didn't try and go mad and finish it and whatnot. He just stayed on it and kept the pressure. This is why there's another thing, man. When we talk about the subjectivity of refereeing, we just ask, not refereeing, of judging. You just asked me a second ago. Say Bobby Green then, right? He was on the wrong side to get that head arm choke. But the way that he had it, to me, looked like he could get it. You know what I mean? And you can put a lot of pressure from that position, and you actually can finish someone from that position. This is not that you can't. You can. It's much harder to, though. But the way that he had it, even if there were no strikes involved, you could say, he's on the wrong. One judge might say he's on the wrong side to finish that, and he'd be right. You're on the wrong side to finish it. I can't judge that as, I can't give points for that because I don't think it's thing. But I might be looking at it going, no, hang on a second. I can give points for that in my head because I know that this guy looks like he's going to finish that. Looks like it's deep enough to be causing discomfort and causing if the guy moves even a little bit, he's going to finish this. And that's kind of what happened there. He was on the wrong side, but it was in very tight, and Ferguson wasn't defending it properly. So see, when you get your arm that deep, even if you're on the wrong side, if you know how to drop your hips and your shoulders properly, it becomes a lot like the Von Flue choke. Similar to what Mahashev did to to Drew Dober, so it's very hard to judge sometimes, you know what I mean? I'm not quick to judge the judges too much, it's a very tough job. People are throwing head arm triangles from half mount these days in competitions. Yeah, that's what I was saying to you. That's what I was just saying now. Like people say, oh, it's on the wrong side and da-da-da. No, you can finish it from there, man. You can, absolutely. Mark Whelan says, when I say he needs to find himself again, I just mean he needs to find Tony and stop fighting and move on to the next chapter of your life. Man, it's such a hard thing, to do for a lot of the fighters. It's not an easy thing. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I definitely agree with you. I just think it's a very, very hard thing for a lot of these guys to do. It's not an easy thing. So when I watch him like this and I watch him fight, I just want him to hang it up. Here's a fun fact. I was looking at there's no one on this main card, and correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I'm almost sure there's no one on this main card that's under 30. Just a fun fact. Joseph says, let's take a moment and enjoy this because Derrick Lewis fights next. This is going to be an interesting fight. I think both these guys are exciting in that they're big guys and that they're heavyweights, but I think Derrick Lewis will probably get this done. I think he's lost his last 3 fights, but his last 3 fights were against some fucking heavy hitters, you know what I mean? And very good grappler in Spivak, so I think that's going to be very, very difficult. I'll be back in 1 second. Says, let me see, Coach, what are your thoughts on Kelvin moving down to welterweight from Joseph? I don't know. I spent a lot of time with Kelvin actually because we were coaching. I was with Rob when we were coaching the heavy hitters, Ultimate Fighter, and he was the opposing coach. So I spent a lot of time with him. And I'll tell you this, he's got a really weird body. He's like a heavyweight. His head and his torso are like a heavyweight. And then he's got like these little arms and little legs. He's like a little keg. And I mean this with the utmost of respect to him. So he's not that small. Like people think he's small. He's not that small. He's short, and he's got like little arms and little legs, and his arms aren't like jacked. And his legs aren't jacked, but his torso is big. Like he's got a big torso, big, massive head. He's like a heavyweight, but they chopped the arms and legs off him. So I don't know how easy it is for him to get to welterweight, especially now as he's gotten a bit older in his career. I don't know what he's going to look like at welterweight, because he was surprisingly thick and big, like a big dude when I met him. Like Rob's a big guy, but he's like his arms and like he looks in proportion. Whereas when you're up close to Kelvin in real life, he's like I said, like a really weird physique, How is he going to look at welterweight? I'm not sure, man. I don't know. I don't know how hard that weight cut is especially now that he's older. I really don't. I will say this, though. I will say this. He could have been in better shape as a middleweight, with all due respect. I just remember seeing him in doing some of the coaches' challenges and that, and he wasn't in the same shape that Rob was in, and I don't know. I think he's a fucking tough guy. I think he's a tough guy, and if he can do the weight cut and he does the weight cut well, then yeah, he's gonna be fucking a force to be reckoned with in that division. But I think it was hard for him to make that cut earlier in his life. I can't imagine it's going to be easier later in life. And the guy that he's got is a Shavkat Rakhmonov guy who's a fucking monster. He might catch him. He might catch him because Gastelum catches everyone, man. He's got really fast hands as well. Like, he might catch Shavkat, like it's and he'd be big and strong, but I don't know how that weight cut's going to affect him. I don't know. I'm not that confident to say, oh, this is what weight division he should be in. I don't think people should say stuff that you don't know what you're talking about. As far as that guy, obviously he spent, I don't know how long, 6-7 years now or something or 5 years as a middleweight. I can't imagine that cut would be easier now that he's older. Mark Whelan says, I understand that it's also a lifestyle, not just a profession. Yeah, man, there's so many things mixed up with that as well, like your personal identity. Like, there's so many things. Even your own family's identity, because a lot of people don't understand this with athletes or with high-performing individuals, like, I don't know, high-powered solicitors or whatever. Like, your wife is not just married to you a lot of the times, not always, but she's also married to the high-performing individual or celebrity or whatnot. It changes the dynamics, not just with you within yourself, but with you and the people around you in your life. So these are really hard things to come to terms with. Okay, one sec, guys. I'm going to just close this because the sun's turning. Well, we are rotating around the sun. I don't want people to think that it's different for me. SG says this whole main card is filled with fighters who have to make a statement for the sake of their career. So yes, it's true, but I think that's a case always for any fighter. But I do get what you mean. SG. Mitch G is laughing. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, yeah, but he's built like a keg in that, I'm kind of built like Fab. I'm built like a spider monkey. I wouldn't be offended if somebody said Fab's built like a spider monkey. When I say he's built like a keg, I mean he's built like he's powerful, like a fire hydrant. I don't want Kelvin beating the fuck out of me over nothing. Joseph says, Coach, we need an update on the GOAT, Eli Hedges. How's he doing? Nah, he's doing good, man. He's in Brazil. He actually left today to go to Brazil. His wife's a Brazilian, so he went to Brazil, took his kids and that, and they're going to be, I don't know, I think they're stopping in Chile for some snow. So he'll be doing some skiing and whatnot. Eli just had shoulder surgery. And then he's going to go and, be in Brazil. I think he's going to train a little bit over there, and he'll be back in about 6 weeks. Fumples Fimple says, yo, Fab, what is weight bullying exactly? I'm not really that familiar with it. I've only heard it thrown around. There's no such thing as weight bullying, man. Either you fucking make the weight or you don't. And here's the thing. If you're a huge guy that cuts a lot of weight to make that weight, you got to rehydrate properly, man, or you're going to be someone's bitch. It's fucking hard, so I don't believe in that necessarily. I think if you can make the weight, make the weight, but it's hard and you're going to pay a price. Someone's going to pay something. SG says, Rebecca Bisping speaking about everything she went throughout Michael Bisping's career really puts a reality of MMA as a career into perspective. Yeah, I don't know anything about Bisping's wife, like what she said or whatnot. I haven't seen that interview or anything like that. But it's funny, man. Like not just for fighters, but for anything in life. Like you only see the end product of stuff. You know what I mean? And so, like, you think like, sometimes you see people go, oh, this, this parent did, like, they'll go, oh, I did 2 degrees and I had 5 kids and no one looked after my kids and I did the 5 degrees and I did it all. I was thinking, and people think, oh, this person's amazing. And I think now that I'm older and I have kids of my own, I think, fuck, man, somebody paid for that. Do you know what I mean? Somebody paid for that somewhere along the line. Like, and you don't understand that. Like, if you did those degrees and nobody looked after your kids other than your wife or whatever, well, then your wife was doing a shit ton of work, and you need to understand that whilst you did the 2 degrees, that was cool, but she didn't go out and see her friends. She didn't go out and do the stuff she wanted to do. Your kids missed out on being with their dad. Your kids didn't get taken to sport, whatever, there's a cost to it. And I think that those kind of things are lost in any sort of high-performing, high-achieving situation. Palak says, is Aspinall as good as he's been looking, or are a lot of heavyweights that mediocre? I don't like to call the heavyweights mediocre, but I do think that sometimes you have to look at the competition that you're fighting at that particular time. Aspinall is as good as he is. Is he going to run through John Jones? Is he going to fucking run through, Pavlovich? I don't know. I don't think so necessarily. I think he is as good as he is, but I think it depends who you fight. And a lot of the fighters get caught up in that as well. Like, sometimes you look at a fighter and people go, he's improved so much. He's doing so well. He's won 4 in a row. And I think, I don't want to be a hater, dude, but let's look at the 4 guys that he beat, or the 3 guys that he beat. Have they been winning? Have the guys been losing? What's their style of fighting? How do they match up? These things are important, So, yeah. Joseph says, preach, weight cuts is a double-edged sword. No, I absolutely think that it is, and people forget this, I don't like this fight for Lima, just in that he's going up against a very heavy hitter and he's got a massive reach disadvantage against Lewis. I can't imagine that being good for you. Beetlejuice says, Fabsky, which fighters do the same most weight cuts? Still can't believe Cannonier fought at heavyweight. Which fighters... I don't know who does the worst or the most weight cut. It's hard for me to gauge because I don't know what they're cutting from. Walking around weight is different. You can have a guy that fights at middleweight, walks around at 92 kilos, and you can have a welterweight that walks around at 92 kilos, and they've got to cut to 84 and 77 respectively. But that doesn't mean that either one of them is in the wrong division. It's just how you walking around weight's different to what you're actually cutting from, because cutting is just water weight. So that welterweight that's walking around at 92, he's not going to cut from 92. He's going to cut from 83, 84, 82. So I don't think so. And I think that a lot of times when you see, like, there's too many people here to mention that people are bringing up, but I think sometimes you see guys, he fought at heavyweight, but he fought at heavyweight at the start of his career, where he's losing weight and getting fit and finding his range. So it's very different again. Like, you wouldn't put them into like those divisions again, Do you think weight cutting is even worth it? Is it just some people are convinced it's the best way to go? When was the last time weight cut versus no weight cut experiment was done? We're off, people, and flying knee by Derrick Lewis gets him on the ground. Does Derrick Lewis? De Lima's eating big shots of Derrick Lewis whilst he's looking for a heel hook. Derrick Lewis is landing some big ground and pound on Lima. Lima's in a lot of trouble. Derrick Lewis gets the mount. This is going to be bad for Lima. Lima gets up. Man, he's able to get into a turtle position, but Lewis is landing some big shots on Lima. Lima's covering up, but this is not going to do enough. This is like getting hit with a sledgehammer and you're putting your gloves up, and that's the fight, ladies and gentlemen. Derrick Lewis with a flying knee to begin with. Derrick Lewis is a fucking monster. That, ladies and gentlemen, was the fight. I picked Derrick. Hey, I picked every single person this card. I picked them correct. Clothes are off. Derrick Lewis is a monster. Yeah, do I think weight cutting is worth it? I think weight cutting is worth it if you can rehydrate properly. If you can rehydrate properly, then weight cutting is worth it because you're going to be bigger and stronger and heavier. If you can't rehydrate properly, then it's not worth it. Because if you can't rehydrate properly, you can't get the fluid back in your brain, you're going to get your fucking head punched in. But if you don't cut weight and you cut weight against, all things being equal, someone as good as you, and they're 5 kilos heavier than you in the octagon, that's going to make a fucking big difference. A big difference. Even heavier, man, because like a lot of the times in like nearly all middleweights, they're 85 kilograms you got to be, and they nearly all fight at 92, 93. So they fight the next division weight, the next weight up, which is light heavyweight. Man, big flying knee by Derrick Lewis. Let me see this now in slow motion. He's coming forward, big switch, flying knee. He doesn't really land it, but he just barrels him over and lands it. Lima is looking for a kind of heel hook, but man, those big shots are landing. And the problem is, as soon as you reach for the leg, your hands aren't protecting your head and you're not trying to get up. Then he went in a turtle, and now Derrick Lewis is just standing up on like from behind, and he's just punching the shit out of him. And yeah, you can cover up with the gloves like this, but it's not gonna do much, Again, goes back to that question, the conversation we were having, like about measuring force and measuring this and that. You can cover up, but those shots are landing. You know what I mean? Like you go like this and somebody punches you like this, you're still gonna feel it, especially when you have gloves on. Like you can really, really put something there and shake the head. B. Johnson says, Fab, have you seen that stat of UFC champions who are 36 years and older and the record against younger contenders? I think they are 2-26 against the younger fighters. Like they've lost more than they've won, because that would make sense. I haven't seen that stat, but I will tell you this. It wouldn't surprise me. The problem is, though, you'd have to look at how many guys that are in their late 40s, in their early 40s, late 30s, that are winning and haven't tested positive or something for steroids. Because you can talk all you want about it, but once like you put that into the mix, performance enhancing drugs is a fucking massive X factor. Mark Whelan says, yes, Fab, 100%. Every act and actions have reactions, and many things contribute to someone's success. Yeah, man, it makes a huge difference, man. Like it's you don't realize that until you're a bit older. Like when people say that and they go, yeah, you did this and you did that, but you don't understand someone paid for your success or for anything. Derrick Lewis says, Joseph says, Derrick Lewis looks in better shape this time. I just hope they got oxygen waiting for the big guys. Yeah, I don't know if he was in better shape necessarily, really. You know what I mean? It didn't last very long. Fimple says, this sounds nuts. I'm not watching it, unfortunately. It was crazy. Give me 1 second. I'm just going down because I missed a few people. Like I'm going to have to miss a few people. Man, it was crazy. Oliver Ekman says, I look like me throwing flying knees in the break room. He landed some fucking huge shots, man. Derrick Lewis is monstrous. He's huge. Joseph says, I'm going to need another monitor for Spence versus Crawford. Let me know who wins that. Yeah, let me know who wins that. Somebody asked who's on more. The thing is, man, like you just have to look. It's not even like you can't even debate like some of the stuff, and the testing is not foolproof. It's not even hard to beat. But let's say, for example, there's still dudes getting caught, and there's still lots of dudes getting caught, and people go, oh, this guy's fighting and he's this age or whatever, and he's still doing well, and he's like, dude, the guy's tested positive, man. Like, what else do you need? You like, I'm not even hating on the dude. I'm just saying it changes the dynamics of everything that you're talking about when you're on gear. Like, you can do more sessions in a day if you're on gear. It's going to help you technically. If you're on testosterone, you're going to recover faster. You could do jiu-jitsu twice a day instead of having 4 hard rolls a week, like 4 sessions of hard rolls a week, and then having to do technique and recover. You can do 8. Think how much better you're going to be over 5 years. It changes the dynamics a lot. Like when people are talking about, look how good this person is, and they go, and you go, well, he's on roids, man. And they go, he'd still be good anyways. You can't just brush over that, dude. You can't brush over that because they're operating on a level that's way above what a normal person can do. You have to understand that. EKSSF says, give me your 3 pound for pound walkout songs, Fab. Happy to see you looking good, man. I'm terrible. I can't remember songs. I'm not good at, like, I'm very, very bad at, I can remember like book titles and that, but I'm very bad at, for some reason, I'm really bad at putting together the song, the name of the song, and the singer. I'm fucking horrible. I don't know why. 808 says, win, lose, or draw, Derrick Lewis is hilarious. Yeah, he is. Bodybuilding says, HGH is one of the most powerful drugs I've ever taken, and you can't even test for that. Yeah. And then there's peptides, different peptides that you can't, that don't detect. You can't detect them as well. There's a lot of different things, and when you take that, it changes the playing field. You can't say, oh, he'd still be good anyways, because it's based off technique. You look at the guys that do jiu-jitsu, right? The gentle art. You look at the guys that do jiu-jitsu, and it's starting to look like a fucking IFBB bodybuilding fucking competition. It's insane because these guys, like, strength matters in jiu-jitsu, no matter how you want to talk about it. But then your ability to just be on the mats and recover, like, is huge, dude, huge. So the whole thing is different once you put steroids into it, or gear or anything. Fumple Fimple says, so if you are the same skill, size really does matter, or does that only make sense in this rule-based fighting versus no rules, where all strikes to the throat and eyes and back of the head, etc.? If you're the same skills, does size really matter? Yeah, 100%, 100%. Strength and size matter, and it matters even more so, like, with your ability to recover, because then you're able to do more sessions. You know what I mean? So the more testosterone you have, the quicker you can recover, and the better you recover. So you're able to do more sessions. So even if I was able to do 10 sessions a week, and you're able to only do 7 over the course of a year, I'm ahead of you. Over the course of 5 years, I'm way ahead of you. Do I have any thoughts on an ecological approach or a non-linear pedagogy approach to grappling? You're going to have to elaborate a little bit on that. I'm not exactly sure, like, not on the meaning of the words, but I'm not exactly sure on the context of of the question. Bodybuilding says, look at Gordon Ryan's body recently when he had health issues and came off everything. I haven't seen his body. I don't know how much stuff he's on, or if he's, like, publicly on things and everything. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, the difference would be huge if you are on something and you come off it like that. And that's just what you can see. What people don't understand is, like I said, like, the knowledge that you can gain from being on the mats all the time. So that I think is massive. That's the biggest thing. So the fights now about to start is Paredo versus Blakovitz. This is going to be an interesting one. I do think Paredo is going to get it done. He looks completely different at middleweight that he does to light heavyweight. I do think this division is better for him. I do think that when he hits people at light heavyweight, they're going to stay hit. And I do think he's going to be able to take shots better at light heavyweight than he did at middleweight. Let me just, sorry, I'm looking at some stuff. Sorry, if I miss your stuff, guys, sorry, because I want to be able to catch everyone. Okay, EKSF says, basically some grappling coaches have been advocating a constraint-led approach or a game-based approach to skill acquisition in grappling, mainly Greg Saunders from Standard Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, the game sense approach has been around since the dawn of time, you know. I definitely think it depends on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. And this is the same for anything. Like there's nothing's wrong, nothing's right. It's just what you're trying to achieve. If you look at kids like in Brazil or whatever, where when they're playing soccer, when they're young, everything's just games. Like they're allowed to play soccer and they're allowed to play different, you know, it's non-structured. And that's true in a lot of things. And I think I know there's been a lot of studies done where kids play above their level. So if I look at my daughters, they play at being doctors. They don't have any idea what it means to be a doctor. They play at whatever my wife and I have said to them throughout the day, or what I may have done. They go and they play it out, you know, and so they learn through playing. So I think there's definitely an open concept of learning where, you know, you're able to just go out there and learn. But if you're trying to learn, there's also something to be said to learn things in a structured way. It just depends where and when you're trying to approach, where and when you're doing each one of these things. There will be a time you can't go and play when you actually need to teach them something that's very, very specific. So when you're doing that, then you're going to have to go, all right, this is the approach that we're taking. So the game sense theory in that's been around for like a long time, way before like grappling became trendy, and not just in regards to grappling. So I think it just depends. Like you need to be able to possibly do both and do both at different stages of learning. I think adults can do really well with some being able to let go and play. You know, I think you can do that when you just play grapple or you play fight. You learn a lot of different things and you're able to try a lot of different things. Paredo's coming out here now. He's about to shoot his bow and arrow as he walks out the tunnel. I'm a big fan of Paredo, man. I hope that he fucking kills someone. I like Blakovitz, but I just want him. I want Paredo to win all the belts. You know, I just like him. I think he's a champion. You know, I like the way he carries himself. I like the way he talks and that. And I think when you hear him speak in Portuguese, if you understand Portuguese, he's very soft spoken. Like his demeanor is not of an intimidating person. He's like very chill, very soft spoken. Yeah. Yeah, that was my answer, EKSSF. I think that's yeah, I have a teaching background, so I was able to I've always looked at that. Like we did that at university, actually. We studied that at uni. It's really interesting, man, when you look into it. I think the problem is sometimes with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think it's like it's taken, because it kind of exploded recently and we're all witnessing it explode right now. There's all these new trends and people going in all different directions because it's like, oh, this is the new thing and that works. And like, man, you apply the same sports specific concepts that you do to any sport to it, and you'll see that it's more or less all right, you know, like yeah. So I think with grappling, I think adults can do a lot more, not just with grappling, but with martial arts in general. Adults can do a lot more with just playing. Like with a lot of the guys at the gym now, the beginners are coming through. They learn enough structured things so they understand how to throw a jab or how to roll. Of course, you learn enough technical stuff to be able to do that. But I encourage a lot of like flow grappling, a lot of like play fighting, and people's level, especially at beginner levels, just improve because you're playing above your level. EK says, Solders said, we're in the leather helmet phase of grappling. I found that quite funny and poignant. Yeah, I do think that to a certain degree, I agree with him in the modern era, because grappling has been around 3000 BC. You know what I mean? It's been around forever in different elements. But I think like as human beings now, we've kind of like rediscovered it in the modern era, and it's become like mass media, you know what I mean? Because older civilizations, like older cultures rather, have been grappling forever. Like in Central Asia, the people of the Central Asian steppe, the highlands, all of that, they've all been grappling. They've always grappled. They've always had cultural wrestling. The Mongolians have always had, all the people of the Eurasian steppe all wrestled, and then you look at indigenous tribes in Australia, in the Americas, they all wrestled. They all did a form of grappling. So it's not new. It's just that we've kind of rediscovered it. And then like now we're all like, this is blah, 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 and da, 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 da. But it's been there for forever, like it's been there for forever, literally. So now this is the fight I've been pumped to see, man. I'm really, really pumped to see this fight. Blakovitz is looking very fit. I think that Paredo's going to get it done. Blakovitz hits like a fucking truck, though. So let's see what happens here. I think Blakovitz does need to get the knockout early if he's going to get it. I think it's going to be hard for him to keep that pace that he needs to keep on someone like Paredo, who's going to make you fucking pay, But I got this feeling that Blakovitz, I don't know, Blakovitz a mean man. EKSSF says, any good book recommendations? Last time I asked you, recommended the NZ Rugby book that I can't remember the name of. Legacy. That's the name of that book. And you'll like it. This was 100% you're going to like it, especially if you're asking that question that you just asked then. You're going to like that book, Legacy. Oliver Ekman says, I wish this was 5 rounds. I do too wish that it was 5 rounds, but I doubt that they do. Like you look at Paredo, man. Paredo weighing in a little heavier than Blakovitz. He's got 1 inch reach advantage on Blakovitz, and he's 2 inches taller. So this is a big man. This is a big man fighting. Oh, you read it, EK. So you wanted a different book on what? Like what kind of what subject are we talking about? I haven't read any books in the last couple of years, to be honest with you. It's been insane with the kids. But what kind of book? What kind of what genre of book are we talking about? Man, it's crazy that this guy Paredo has achieved what he's achieved with less than 10 MMA fights. You fucking think of this, and not even all wins. You know what I mean? This is insane to me. This is fucking insane. That it's insane. Kopalik says, am I the only one that thinks if Jan just gets him down with a double leg, he's going to make it a rough night for Paredo? Yeah, but that's like saying, isn't it? Don't you think that if Jan knocks Paredo out, it'll be a rough night for Paredo? Because it's hard. It's not that easy to take like him down and hold him down. You know what I mean? There are some, it's going to, and if you don't, the double leg is pretty much the thing that requires the most energy for you to do. So let's say you take Paredo down and you can't hold him down this early in a fight at altitude. At altitude is a big thing. You've taken a big wad of your energy level. Now, if you get him down and hold him down and beat him up, fucking good for you. EK says, for sports teaching, something you can learn from and apply to coaching or teaching. I think The Prince by Machiavelli is a fantastic book, or the Book of 5 Rings is really good as well, But I'd probably say to you, The Prince by Machiavelli. That's a pretty fantastic book. So we're off. Both men in the orthodox stance. Paredo looks huge. Single leg by Jan. This is, to your point, one of the guys just then. Is Paredo going to be able to defend this? Paredo's looking for a guillotine, kind of more controlling the head of Jan. Jan is looking for the single leg here. Is he going to be able to finish this takedown? The problem is, from the single leg position that he was in, I don't know that he'd hold him down from there. Now Jan is starting to look for the double leg, but Alex's bum is Alex is in deep on this guillotine, on a standing guillotine. He's looking really deep. He's got a left hand in, and that's his big hand with hits a hook. Jan gives the thumbs up. Now he goes again. He's got the other leg now. He's got the correct leg on to defend Alex's guillotine. Alex was never going to finish a guillotine. I wonder how much it's taken out of Alex's left hand. This is not the right leg to have it on the same side as the guillotine necessarily, but now Jan's head's starting to go up. This burns Alex's left hand out a little bit too at altitude in that isometric contraction. I don't know how much Alex is squeezing, and they're kind of just trading shots along the fence there to each other, not huge ones. This is going to be extremely tiring for both of these fighters, this grueling kind of style up against the cage at altitude. I don't know how much energy this is taking out of Alex's left hand, which is his, his big power shot. And I don't know how much this is taking out of Jan to be leaning into Alex like this, looking for this single leg. He does get Alex down. He's over the top of Alex now, but Alex is already posting. He's not on he's on his elbow. He needs to be up. Jan is looking for the back. He's taking the back of Alex Paredo. He's got one hook in. He's got the knee hook in. He's got the body triangle in on Alex. Alex is starting to get up, but Jan is looking for the choke. Is Alex going to be able? Oh, Jan has got it in deep. He's got it in deep. Alex is fighting the hands. I think Jan is going to finish this choke. On Alex. Alex keeps fighting the hands. Jan is looking for the choke again. Alex is trying to push the forearm up past the head. Jan is doing a good job of staying on the back. They're both dry. They're both big, strong guys. This would not be fun to have Jan on your back like this in a body triangle. Understand this though. This does take a lot of energy for Jan to keep the body triangle on the back of Alex like that. At altitude, it's not easy to do. But he has got the best dominant position that he could have on Alex, except that Alex is still fighting. He needs to get elevation here. If he can get his head a little bit higher than Jan's, then this is going to, yes, and that's what Alex is doing. He's starting to do that. They're fighting for head position. If Alex, again, Jan looking for the choke. Alex has got to get his head above Jan's. Jan is climbing, doing a good job of climbing. Alex drops to a knee again. Alex is still staying up though. Jan is going to look to, I think, soften Alex up with some shots. He's got a wrist ride on the knee side. Again, he's looking for the choke. Alex has got to get his head higher than Jan's. Jan is continuing to have the body triangle on Alex. Alex is using the fence, though, now. He's using the fence to hold Jan up. So it's not taking too much out of Alex as much as it would be necessarily. So he's using the fence to kind of push Jan in. And Jan has got the knee side, arm in. He could have Alex. He looks like he might be under the chin. No. Alex is doing a good job of defending. This is going to tire Jan's legs out. There's 1 minute to go, 1 minute and 10 seconds to go in this round. The body triangle is in deep. This will affect Alex's breathing, but Alex has got to get his head up above Jan. They've gone to the ground. Jan looks like he could. Oh, he's in deep again. Alex has got to fight the hands. He's in deep with 47 seconds to go. He's looking like he's starting to stretch Alex out. Alex is doing a good job of defending, but he's starting to eat shots now from Jan. Alex is controlling a hand. This is a spectacular job by Jan. Jan's got his hooks in on Alex with 30 seconds to go. He's fishing for the rear naked. Alex has got to fight the hands, man. Fight the hands, Alex. 22 seconds to go. Alex has got to get his hands, 2-1 these hands, Alex. 2-1 on the hands. I don't think Jan's going to be able to get it, but I don't think that Alex is going to be able to get free. There's 10 seconds to go in this round, 7 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's all Jan that round. The question is, how much did that take out of both men? It wouldn't have been fun for Alex, but that would have been quite an effort from Jan. I don't know. Fuck how much that. I mean, that was definitely Jan's round. This is 100%. He didn't cause a lot of damage to Alex. He got pretty much the most dominant position you're going to get in MMA without having him flat. And so how much does that take out of each guy? I don't know. Alex looks tired. Looks like it affected him, which doesn't surprise me. The pressure that would have had on your stomach wouldn't have been fun. But the burn on Jan's legs, that will be for sure. For sure, that will affect. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out in this second round. And to your point, Jan shot straight off the bat. He did manage to do that, but he wasn't able to finish, and hence therein lies the problem. So we're off for the second round again. Alex, once again, they're both fighting for the center kind of thing, posturing for the center. Alex standing nice and tall, looks for a jab to the body, does Alex. Nice calf kick by Alex. He's definitely down the round. This is for sure. There's another calf kick landed by Alex and a calf kick landed by Jan, followed by a jab from Alex. Another jab by Alex. Jab to the body by Alex. Ooh, they exchange left hooks. Both land. They both land the left hooks. Jan's landing them as well. But I don't like this game for Jan. But Jan does hit like a truck. You got to give him that. Alex is starting to hold the center of the octagon and lands another calf kick. There's not much tell on those calf kicks, though. There's not much tell at all. Alex always makes me worried, man, because he kind of like stands in the range as well, and you feel like he's standing too close. But who am I to talk about Alex Paredo's stand-up? Calf kick partially checked by Jan, and then gives a calf kick of his own to Alex, which lands flush. Like I said, I don't know how much that would have taken out of Jan's legs. Another calf kick landed by Alex, because that body triangle is hard to hold like that against someone like that strong, you know, and you're on his back, you're not on the ground. You're nice exchanging calf kicks a lot. Another calf kick landed by Alex. Oh, left hook landed by Jan. Jan, they exchange left hooks. Jan lands as well. Jan's landing his own left hook and another calf kick by Alex. Oh, Jan in deep on a double leg and finishes the double leg into Alex's full guard. Alex has got a closed guard. Nice double leg by Jan. But he's 8 leg kicks, man. I'm telling you, he ate a lot of calf kicks. I don't think that Jan's legs are going to feel very good. And there's still another round to go. There's 3 minutes to go. But Jan has landed some good left hooks on Alex himself. Alex is looking very tired himself. He's looking tired as well. In the full guard, this is the problem there. In the full guard like this is Jan's round. Whether, Jan's going to win this round like this. Alex is not doing anything to try and get up, but Jan's not doing any damage either, which is still good for Alex. Jan is inching him towards the cage where Alex is not going to be able to move his hips, but hopefully Alex will be able to use the cage to stand up. I believe that that's when Jan's going to look to transition to take the back. And here we go. This sequence is about to start. Alex needs to post on his hand and not on his elbow. Needs to elevate his hips and get his head up. At the same time, Jan's going to start to look to transition to the back. So here we are. Alex is pushing Jan's head down. There's 2 minutes to go in this round. Alex needs to get up. If Alex is able to get up and break away, I think it's going to be very hard for Jan to continue this kind of pressure in this fight. And he's up. Alex is up. Okay, he's got an overhook. Does Alex? His back's against the cage. Man, this is a very grueling fight. Very grueling fight at altitude. Oh, nice knee landed by Jan to the liver of Alex. Alex felt that shot. Alex is landing little jabs, little punches in the clinch, but it's not doing the damage that he needs it to do. But I think Jan knows that he cannot take too many more of these calf kicks. They were doing damage. Jan's doing a lot of pressure with his head, and Alex is off. He's out of the cage. 1 minute and 16 seconds to go. Alex controlling the center, looks for a left high kick, partially lands on Jan. Jan goes looking for a jab of his own. Alex pressuring, looks for a left hook. Jan comes, answers with a left hook of his own. Alex with a jab to the body. They exchange left hooks again. Jan goes looking for a takedown, which he doesn't get. There's 52 seconds to go. Jan looks like he's feeling it as well. Another calf kick landed by Alex. Alex lands a right hand and goes looking for a left hook. They clinch up against the cage. Alex looks to knee the legs again. Alex is staying in the clinch with Jan. This is not good for Alex. Jan's looking for knees in the clinch. Alex lands a little knee to the body. He looks for a right-handed, an uppercut, and a left hook by Alex Paredo, none of which land properly. A little jab starting to land from Alex. Right uppercut landed by Alex. Jan is covering up. Right uppercut just misses by Alex. Hits him with a glancing left hook, does Alex. Jan's looking tired as well. Another little left jab landed by Alex. The problem with Alex is holding his hands low and Jan looking to counter with the hooks of his own. Jan shoots a double late in the round. I can't judge the fight. I don't know. I think that it might be a round apiece, in my opinion. Like I can't judge it while I'm calling it like this, you know. But I think it might be a round apiece. But I think that there's a good chance that Alex finishes him late in this third round. I think it takes a lot of energy to fight the way that Jan is fighting. This is what I said at the start of the fight. It takes a lot of energy to shoot doubles and grind and hold people down. And so I think that Alex is going to be able to hit him with calf kicks, keep hitting the body, and, you know, just either win the next round, and I think wins the decision, or he gets him out of here in this round, unless Jan lands a left hook, which he has landed on Alex already. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, dude. This is a crazy fight. Again, this fight would probably look completely different if at sea level, you know, like they're off third round. Again, Jan hasn't got the pep in his step that he had at the start of the fight. Another calf kick partially lands and partially checked by both men. Left high kick checked, taken on the arms by Jan. Alex goes looking for another jab to the body. Do not underestimate the jabs to the body. Jan doubles up on a left hook to the head of Alex. Alex goes once again, jab to the body and right calf kick. Luke goes looking for a left high kick. Jan is not getting it out of the way of the shots as much as he was before, and Alex is controlling the center of the octagon as he likes to do. Another calf kick landed by Alex. Jan goes looking for some jabs to the body of his own. Oh, there's a left hook and a right hand, and then a left kick landed by Jan on Alex Paredo, and a nice calf kick landed by Alex again. Man, this is another little jab landed by Alex. Alex goes looking for a jab to the body again. Holding the center of the octagon is Alex. Looking for a right hand. Jan's looking to get out of nice calf kick landed, partially checked. Oh, guys, looking for that left hook, does Jan. Jan's having a lot of success with that left hook on Alex. He's obviously done his homework. But Alex is a mean guy, man. And the thing that comes with the way that Jan is throwing his hooks is they're coming off a blitz. And again, it requires a lot of energy, you know, a lot of energy to do it. There's 3 minutes to go in this first round. And Alex is able to land his shots, not using as much energy as Jan has to use for his. Jan has no longer got the same pep in his steps with his lunging left hooks. Alex is looking a little bit more relaxed, and he's landing the calf kicks, as I said earlier. Oh, 1-2 landed by Alex, partially landed, not flush, but enough. And again, a left hand now. Jan is starting to paw at that jab that goes to the body with his right hand, trying to parry it. And I don't think that's going to be good for him. Alex is looking for that right hand at the top. There's 2 minutes and 43 seconds to go. Alex is definitely leading the dance. He's holding the center of the octagon. Jan is looking for that left hook, but there's not as much on it. He goes looking for a double leg. If he does not finish this double leg, I do think it'll be the wrap for him. Alex lands a knee in the clinch. He hasn't been able to finish the double leg. Takes a deep breath. Nice calf kick landed by Alex. Left hand landed by Alex. Jan goes looking for a left hand of his own, but Alex is getting it out of the way of these left hooks now. He's throwing a left hook, right hand combination. Oh, nice combinations by Jan. Jan is as tough as they come. But it's 2 minutes to go, and he's taking some deep breaths with Alex controlling the center of the octagon. I do think it requires too much effort to fight the way that he does, that he needs to do to win this fight. I think that Alex is going to get him out of there. Jan has still got that left hook that he's been landing on Alex, but Alex is very aware of it now, and he's starting to control the center of the octagon much better, blocking that left hook now. It's coming a lot slower and without as much power. He switched to southpaw, has Jan, and now switched back to orthodox. And again, nice jab landed by Alex. Snaps Jan's head back. Jan takes a couple of steps back, and Alex is growing in confidence. He's bouncing. Jan's throwing the left hook. It's landing now on the triceps of Alex without as much power as it had before. Nice calf kick landed by Alex. Oh, big left hook by Alex. Nice jab to the body by Alex. 1 minute to go. Jan goes looking for a left hook. Doesn't land. Blocked by Alex. Goes looking for a double leg in the center of the octagon. Stopped by Alex. Alex is completely controlling this round now. This is definitely Alex's round. 52 seconds to go. I do think Alex is up by a round and is definitely winning this one. Jan is looking for a single leg. Is he going to be able to finish it? He finishes the single leg, does Jan, with 40 seconds to go in the center of the octagon. Is he going to be able to do anything from here? I don't think so. Both guys look exhausted. Alex is trying to move and hip escape out of there, but Jan is holding on to him very, very tightly. No one's doing any real damage here. Alex is still trying to get up. 10 seconds to go. No real damage is done. Like Alex's guard is not even closed. It's open guard. Jan's not really looking to posture and land some ground and pound. Alex has finally got his feet to the hips. They've called the fight. I think Alex won that. But again, I wasn't I'm not the one judging the fight, you know what I mean? I don't know, but I thought Alex won that fight when I was watching it like this. Jan is taking the shots, but he's taking a lot of shots. But he was always just out of the way, you know. The calf kicks and stuff that landed from Alex were pretty big. Let me see. How practical is MMA for real world situation? Fight with multiple attacks and even being able to control the situation, be safe as possible. No, I think MMA is fine for real world situations. I don't know if by split decision. I think that the split decision will be the judges see it differently. But I think that Jan won the first round and then Paredo won the second and the third. That's I see it pretty clearly. It was a relatively close fight, but I definitely think that that Alex won that. My opinion. I think it was close but clear in my that's how I see it. It could be if it goes to Jan, I don't think it was a robbery though, you know. This is how I'm seeing it, and this is why I say to you it's the subjectivity of it. And again, I'm calling the fight. I'm not judging the fight. This is very different. So I can't really sit there and shit on the judges, you know what I mean? I'm not judging. I'm just calling the fight and watching it with my friends on YouTube. Memphis Mouse says, amazing to hear you again, Fab. Have you had much experience training fighters for high altitude fights? What changes do you make? Traveling a few weeks early surely can't aid a fighter that much. Like I've said here before, yeah, I've trained people for altitude and in various different competitions. Generally, you'd want to try and train at altitude if you can, and then you want to get there and acclimate 4 to 6 weeks, you know, at least. But if you know that, yeah, so Paredo got the win. He got the win, and I feel that was pretty fair. I feel that was pretty straight. If you sign on, say the UFC usually lets you know 8 to 10 weeks out, if not, sometimes even before that. So if Sydney's a basin, right? Sydney's not at altitude. So if I knew, say, for argument's sake, 10 weeks out that you're going to fight at altitude, as soon as you sign the contract, I would have organized for us to be fighting, for us to be training at altitude. I wouldn't even be mucking about with that. You know what I mean? Like there wouldn't even be a question. I'd be gone straight away. The altitude is real, you know. I think what happens a lot of the times, fighters, they're not on much money, really. And so when you have to look at, well, what's the cost that they're going to entail? Sometimes some of them may not see that investment worth it, you know, because half your paycheck's going to go on accommodation, etc. in at altitude if you don't live in altitude. But me personally, like if you're training and it's for real, like I'd be like, fuck, man, let's go. You know, we're done. Like you be at altitude 100% the moment you sign. I'd also be aware, like if you look on the calendar, you have like an inkling that you could be fighting at this point. You know what I mean? Like if you haven't fought, they're probably going to say to you, do you want to fight? You know, and so you're going to know like that you could be fighting in Salt Lake City. You know, it's going to be a UFC 291. You know, it's not going to be a fight night, so you know all these things. So I definitely, the moment you get the contract, just be in altitude if you know that you're going to be fighting there. SG says somewhere out there, someone made a lot of money betting that this fight would go the distance. Bodybuilding news says, do you think his ears yelling, I manifested this right now? Actually, I think he said it wouldn't go the distance. Or if that it did go the distance, that Jan would win. I think he said that. But that's interesting, eh? That's interesting. So now it'd be Jan versus be Alex versus Jiri. Am I correct with that? Is that what they're talking about now? Is it Alex versus Jiri? I thought that Alex did well. The altitude is such an X factor that you cannot really gauge what would have happened differently if it wasn't at altitude. You know, like would Jan have finished that choke if it wasn't at altitude? Would Jan have had more energy to maybe win that second round, you know, or that third round or whatever, win another round? Or maybe would he have had more pop in his punches later on? Would Alex have had more pop in his punches? Who knows? SG says Alex versus Jiri is a crazy fight. That is a very, very crazy fight. I do, and I don't know who I'd favor in that fight, to be honest with you. I don't. Alex does get hit more than I like. And his big defense is that he hits you harder than you fucking than you want to be hit. So that puts you on show, you know, a little bit. But I don't know about Jiri getting hit by Jiri like that. I don't know that's a good one, you know. It's fucking Karl Malone. I haven't seen Karl Malone for a long time. I used to love watching that guy play basketball back in the day. If Alex wins a light heavyweight belt, he will have been the only combat sports athlete to win 2 belts in 2 different sports within the span of 5 years. Man, I think he will have been the only one to, not within 5 years, within any amount of time. Like I would definitely have to say, if he wins a light heavyweight belt, he's the most accomplished combat athlete of all time. You can't even begin to say otherwise. Another thing that you have to take into account is when people are talking about why doesn't he just take him down? Fuck, man. Jan's a big dude, black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's shown that he can do some work on the ground. And he wasn't able to keep him down, right? So far, I've been perfect with all of my predictions, by the way, with like picking a winner. I predict that Gaichi is going to win this fight. I think that it'll start off with probably Poirier winning. But I think that the altitude is going to make a fucking huge difference in the next fight because Gaichi has trained at altitude, higher altitude than Salt Lake, by the way. He's trained there for a long time before he got in the UFC. So he trains and lives at altitude. And I think that that's going to make too much of a difference, way too much of a difference against Poirier. Even if Poirier went there and got hurt, you can't beat that. SG says, imagine stepping in the cage against Alex Paredo. Man, I would piss my pants. He's a fucking serious person, man. I would not want, like, these guys are huge. Like, Israel Adesanya is huge. Like, Paredo's huge. Like, they're big fucking human beings, man. Tall and big dudes. So, no, I don't want to think about that. Yeah, the next fight, I think that Poirier is going to look really good early on. He's got, in my opinion, better footwork. Having said that, though, Gaichi has improved his footwork, and he has improved his, combinations and whatnot. But I think that whilst Poirier is probably the tidier of the two, I think that the altitude's going to be too much of a difference. SG says Paredo's the only guy to punch Izzy whilst literally looking down on him. Man, that fight was a crazy fight between Israel and him. That was a really crazy fight. It just puts, it also it puts into perspective, a lot of things, like people thinking about a middleweight, that would have been a fucking difficult fight, for anyone at middleweight. At light heavyweight, again, it's one of those things where I can't gauge how good or how not good that, he is, because, it's at altitude. Beetlejuice says apparently Spencer's been dropped 3 times by Crawford. Fuck, that's no good. That is a hard way to make a living. Boxing is a hard way to make a living. Oh man, this fight with Gaichi, and Gaichi, I've met him in real life as well, and he's like a fucking sweetheart of a guy. Actually, it was the time he fought Michael Johnson, and we were at the back with him and that, and he was sitting next to me, and I was just talking to him. I talked to him for about an hour, and he was a real gentleman, really nice guy the way he spoke, and Michael Johnson was saying such rude shit to him, just swearing at him, saying stuff about his family, like a whole bunch of stuff to him, like just disgusting stuff, and I was just looking at Gaichi, and I'd seen him already fight, but never in the UFC, and I was just looking at Gaichi, just the way he was handling that, he was just like, man. And then he fights with a fury, but he's not stupid, dude. That dude's able to control his emotions. He's able to. It showed a lot. It showed a lot, because I don't think a lot of people understand in reality how hard it is to control your emotions. People can't do it, let alone under these sort of circumstances. And he just controlled himself completely, with Michael Johnson saying, man, all sorts of stuff to him, like all sorts. I'm not going to repeat them. And man, like, he made a fan out of me that day for sure. Just the way he carried himself, and the way that, like, I was looking at him and I was thinking, wow, this guy's like in control of his emotions, dude. He's really got, ice cold, JH says, good to see Grange back. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It's going to be interesting to see how this fight plays out. Like I said, my pick's Gaichi. I don't think I don't think that Poirier is going to be able to stay in there into the later rounds. Bodybuilding News says, Justin, he had the eyes tattoo in high school. We wrestled their team. I'm like 14, my first match at weigh-ins, and this 16, 17-year-old Justin had tattoos. Are you from, where's he from? He's like, is it a small town in Arizona? Because I remember speaking to him. He's like from a small mining town or something in Arizona. And are you from that town as well? Because he just seems like a rough character as well. Like, lovely guy, but seems like a rough character. Fumples Fimple says, do we have good real-world self-defense place in Oz? Multiple attackers, threat assessment, staying safe as possible to run away, etc. Do you know much about these? I don't, man. I really don't. My advice for self-defense would be some sort of striking art, preferably Muay Thai or boxing that's being tried and true, and some form of grappling that preferably allows you to stay on your feet, like judo or wrestling, and jiu-jitsu as well, of course. If you're doing Muay Thai, then jiu-jitsu is going to be fine. And if you're older, I'd recommend you do something like one of those Filipino styles that incorporate weaponry like a stick fighting or something. That'd be my thing. But other than that, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd go and do like one of those places things. I don't know. Bodybuilding News says Arizona. Yes, there's nothing to do in that town. They came up here. I'm from a biggerish city. They have nothing to do but wrestle and meth. Their whole team is good, even though it's a way smaller school. I saw that as well with I saw a documentary the other day where Cejudo's brother coaches wrestling, and I think it's in Arizona as well. And it's like this little town. Mark Whelan says judo is, in my opinion, the best self-defense. I think judo, I think Greco-Roman wrestling as well, if you're going to do it. But the biggest thing is what's good in the area that you live in. Like, there's no point going to a judo school in a town that, or in a country that has no judo. Do you know what I mean? And so you're doing judo against terrible people. So if, like, judo is pretty good in Australia, so I definitely agree with you there. Any of those stand-up grappling, like wrestling, judo, Greco-Roman, I think that's gonna, so, because this is the other thing people don't understand. Self-defense is different to a fight. Are you going to go fight in the street? Are you going to go fight one-on-one? This is different. Self-defense is different to that. Self-defense is you attack me, I have to try and put the fight where I need it to be. You know what I mean? So boxing and Greco-Roman, boxing and judo, I think are really, really good for self-defense. Memphis says, behind the scenes, have you heard many coaches, fighters complain to UFC about refusing to alter their gloves in order to lessen eye pokes? Trevor Whitman apparently has a better design, but the UFC won't pay for it. I don't know. I know that Trevor Whitman came up with a set of gloves that was better for it. And but I don't think you have to be a genius to work out that you'd want a glove that does this as opposed to this. You know what I mean? I don't think you have to be super, super smart. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, SG says, folk style wrestling is my new favorite martial art, so effective in MMA. I do think that as well. I do think that it's the probably the most effective is folk style. I think it's the best one. If I was going to learn one thing, I'd learn folk style. But having said that, again, for self-defense, I think stuff like in the clinch where you're holding people like judo or Greco-Roman. Crawford won, stoppage, 9th round. Just a completely different level, people said. Yeah, that's my take on all of that. Yeah, judo's good, eh? Like, judo's fucking, it's a brutal, yeah, and it depends on where you live as well. If you live by the beach, like where I live, people maximum will wear a t-shirt, so you don't have. I don't think judo is as applicable as Greco-Roman, for example, in that regard. But dude, you get a good judo guy's gonna fucking launch you anyways. Yeah, I'd probably recommend boxing and Greco-Roman, or boxing and judo. That would be the two that I would recommend. Or if you're going to do BJJ, I'd do BJJ and Muay Thai. And it depends also how old you are, I think, for you, when you're trying to do a self-defense thing. I think that changes dramatically, because if I was going to do self-defense when I'm older, I honestly would do like the stick fighting, and so I can use my walking stick or a stick to beat the fuck out of someone. SG says, judo throws on concrete are scary stuff, dude. Judo throws on a fucking mat are scary. Judo throws on a mat are scary. If you don't know how to land, the Greco-Roman and judo throws are fucking scary. They're very, very scary. I've got some good mates that do judo, and fucking scary. SG says double legs on concrete is scarier stuff. Yeah, any of those big high amplitude throws on concrete will fucking kill somebody. Having said that, like, it's how you land as well. Like, I don't know. Poirier's walking out now. Gaichi's already in the octagon. This is going to get crazy, dude. Tell me who you guys think is going to win and why. Poirier is hugging a multitude of people. SG says a video of a non-fighter versus a fighter in a street fight. Fighter threw a double leg and cracked the other guy's skull on the concrete. Yeah. The difference between someone, when you say non-fighter, but say, for example, someone that is untrained, I'm not talking about guy that played, rugby league, first grade rugby league and never think. I'm talking about a dude that maybe goes to the gym a couple of times a week, runs on the treadmill, does a little bit of weights, versus the guy same size as him that does jiu-jitsu 4 days a week and boxing 3 days a week or something like that. The difference is it's fucking it's insane, dude. It's not even close. It's ridiculous, because if you do any other sport that you never done before, like, you can't do it. Like, it's so crazy. Like, if you've never surfed and you tried to surf, you wouldn't be able to paddle out past the breakers, and little kids will just paddle out straight past you. And the guys that are surfing, that are same build, look like you, they paddle out past the breakers, catch waves, go back in, come off the waves. They don't drown. You can't even get out. You can't even make it out past the breakers. And that's the same thing. If you fight someone and you don't train, like I said, you go to the gym 3 times a week versus you're going to fight a guy same size as you who trains 4 or 5 days a week for fighting. You can't. The guy will just smack your fucking head in. Memphis says, regarding the gloves, seems obvious, right? Just can't believe coaches and fighters aren't kicking up a fuss for the UFC to change them, considering so many fighters get messed up from pokes. I don't know, Memphis, if you've caught on to where the power lays there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that people are going to, I don't even know if they're going to speak up about bigger issues other than that. Mark Whelan says, judo, as far as defending yourself goes, is awesome and better than most martial arts. Agreed, Mark. I agreed. EKSSF says, Savati originated in France and was used by workers who used to work in steel-toed boots. Their first line of defense was toe to kick someone in the shin. That would hurt, sir. That would definitely hurt. Not only would it hurt, but it'd be the height of rudeness. SG says, yeah, everyone thinks they know how to throw a punch until they actually throw a punch. The problem is, man, you might even be able to throw 5 punches, but then you if you're fighting someone that can fight, or they can't even fight, is just a tough guy. You throw 5 punches and they're still there. Now it's like you have an opinion. It's like having an opinion, but you can't formulate a succinct, clear answer. You know what I mean? You can't speak about it. So as soon as the debate starts, you're gone. And that's the same thing with a fight. You might throw a couple of punches, but as soon as the other guy starts punching you back and he's still in there, even if he can't fight, he's just tough and fit, you're fucked. EKSF says, to me, it depends who can establish their jab. This will be a 5 fight, but a good jab does so much damage over 5 rounds. This is very true. That and the front kick, if they can do their front kicks as well. The little front kick, I think, at altitude like this, southpaw to orthodox, huge, fucking huge. Little front kicks, front snap kicks. The leg kicks from Gaichi, all of that, but I do think that the altitude's going to come into play in that 3rd, 4th round. SG says, yep, imagine throwing everything you've got and the other keeps walking forward. Nate Diaz, is there anything more terrifying? Man, you got to understand, like, say, for example, in Australia, you get kids that have played, like, decent level rugby league, or rugby union. These are tough sports. These guys are physically tough, used to the contact. And you get into a fight with someone like that, provided you don't know how to fight. You can't say, oh, my cousin's a fucking boxer. No, I'm talking about you don't know how to fight, and you pick a fight with someone that's played rugby league his whole life. He's used to contact and aggression, like that one-on-one aggression at a much higher level than you. They've grown up doing it their whole life. And it's just different. It's just a different animal, And this is 2 guys that neither one of them knows how to fight, but one of them is used to contact and aggression and moving people, he's going to bash you. He's going to throw a shit haymaker and grab you by the legs, and that's it. That'll be the wrap. You're not going to be doing a fucking spider guard inverted to octopus guard. If you don't know how to fucking do jiu-jitsu. All right, they're in the middle. Herb Dean's telling them to be nice to each other and don't hit each other too hard. I think they're the words. I can't hear him. I'm assuming that. Okay, so then they're about to start now, and they're off. Southpaw to orthodox is a glove touch from each of them. Obviously, Poirier is in the southpaw stance. They're looking to establish their jabs early. Gaichi is looking. Oh, they exchange leg kicks, lead left kicks. There's a front kick from Poirier. Another leg kick landed by Gaichi. Immediately, he's got Poirier thinking about switching stances. So he's landing it with his left leg, so with his lead leg to Poirier's lead leg. He's landing it on the outside. If you remember in their first fight, he went looking for left kick, did Poirier, and Gaichi kind of dipped into it, but took it on the arms. Big combinations by Gaichi. If you remember their first fight, Gaichi was throwing the kicks to the inside leg, and now he's throwing it to the outside leg. Clever Gaichi. Poirier goes looking for a left hand. Left hook by Gaichi, but Poirier had shelled up. Oh, there's a left kick again. And again, as Gaichi covers up, but he's kind of leaning into it, even though he's covering up. Poirier is looking to set it up again. He's looking to set it up. He's looking to make him dip into that kick again. This is really good because you can tell that both these guys have high-level coaching and that both these guys have adapted to each other. Right hand landed by Justin. Nice leg kick landed by Justin again. Poirier with his signature fixing of his hair. It's so funny. It always makes me laugh when he does that. You watch how he always fixes his hair with his left hand in his fights. There's a right kick from Justin. This is what I'd like to see from more. Oh, there's that left kick again. And again, Justin dips into it. This is good, man. This is good from both of them. I love seeing that they both studied each other's idiosyncrasies and they're both trying to exploit that. Right hand, left hand by Justin. Oh, right high kick by Justin. Partially lands, but it's blocked by Poirier. 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the first round. Poirier is controlling the center of the octagon with Gaichi skirting the outside of the octagon. Again, Gaichi drops his level again. Oh, nice little uppercut. Partially lands by Gaichi. But the way that Gaichi drops his level to avoid the left hand is what is making Poirier. Obviously, they've studied this, and Poirier, that's why Poirier throws this left hand. The way that Gaichi drops his level, man, this is dangerous for Gaichi. The way he's dropping, so he dips to his right, which makes it available for Poirier's left high kick. This is fucking good, the way that Poirier is doing that. Nice left hand landed by Poirier. Gaichi is looking for a right hand of his own. Again, a feint by Poirier. Well, by Gaichi, rather. Left hand to the body by Poirier. Gaichi goes looking for a right hand over the top, misses, wings with another right hand and misses. Nice little jab landed by Gaichi. Oh, there's that kick again. See, the thing is, Gaichi's taking it on the arms, but that doesn't feel good. Shin on the arms, no good. You can end up getting your arm broken. It's very good the way that Poirier is throwing that because he's obviously seen that. That's how Gaichi. Oh, right hand lands over the top by Poirier. One minute to go in the first round. He's obviously seen that is what Justin does, and it's a tendency that Justin's having. Oh, right hand landed by Gaichi. 45 seconds to go. Nice little left hook by Gaichi. Whoa! He throws that left high kick and Gaichi ducks under it. Man, Gaichi could duck into this left high kick, I think, the way that this fight's going. 23 seconds to go. Gaethje's got his back up against the cage. Right high kick by Gaethje. It's good that he's kicking. You got to kick with a kicker. Poirier's kicking a lot in this fight. Nice left kick again, lands to the body, lands to the leg, lands by Gaethje. Oh, they exchange a pair of hooks. Right hand lead landed by Gaichi. None of them are landing flush, but they're landing enough. Man, that was pretty crazy. The way that Justin Gaethje keeps ducking into that left high kick is very interesting, man. It's very dangerous and it's very interesting. And obviously, Poirier has done his homework on this. This is fucking interesting. Fumple says, I've had a bunch of questions, but my net keeps blocking out. Here's a question. Should coaching even be allowed during a round of a fight? How many fighters get the win thanks to the IQ of their corner? I don't know the figures on that, but a good corner can make a huge difference because they can see things that you can't. They can see things from other areas. They also, a lot of the times, more aware of you than you. You know what I mean? Here's the replay here. Right hand lead by Justin. Combinations thrown. Nothing lands flush in that replay. But I just want to see the replay of, that was a straight left hand landed by Dustin. I want to see the replay of the left high kicks by Dustin Poirier because that's a very telling thing. See, those kicks to me, I don't know who won that round. I have no idea. The left high kicks, though, even though they're landing on the arms, are the most telling thing of that round to me, because they take their toll. And he's obviously seen that in executing that. And it'll be making Justin think a lot. Justin's not dumb. He would have worked out, this guy's got this tell of mine, it's making you think. This is a very dangerous kick, and he's dipping into him. And it forces Justin to change the way that he's dipping as well. And now he's starting to dip his head to the outside and throwing lead right hands is Justin Gaethje. But he's throwing that left straight sometimes and then throwing the left kick behind it. Yeah, see, he dipped again, did Justin. Nice! He's dropped Dustin! Gaethje has knocked him out! He threw the right high kick himself and knocked him out. Guys, I just want to say that I was perfect in my picks. I didn't pick every single one exactly how it would happen, but I did pick every single winner of this card. Fuck me dead. What a kick. They both were throwing that kick. Poirier was throwing that kick more than Dustin. And this is what I was saying. I was just finished saying a second ago, when you're talking about judging and all of that, like those kicks are telling, you know what I mean? Even though they're landing on the arms, like it's very telling. It's very because at any time that kick can knock you out. So I don't know how to judge that. It's very hard for me to judge these things. I don't know. What a kick. What a kick. That was superb. I think the last time he got knocked out, if I'm not mistaken, was McGregor, wasn't it? In answer to that, to your question, how many fighters get the win off the back of their corners? A lot, man, because a lot of the times your perception of you is not how everyone else necessarily sees you or what you're seeing, you know what I mean? Or what you may want to do is not what's always the right thing to do, So, yeah, wow, what a kick. That was a nice kick, man. Then he follows up with a little hammer fist. So he throws the right hand and then he throws the right kick after it. That combination, when you have a southpaw to orthodox, the right hand, say if I'm orthodox, right hand lead, and I'm against a southpaw, right hand lead, they dip their head and you throw the right kick right behind it. The trick is, though, to do a kind of Oh man, I spoke about this before. Gaichi does this as well. His hands are a little bit low, so he throws it from the same chamber. So when he throws that right hand, you don't see the kick coming right behind it. So he throws the right hand and he's throwing the kick almost immediately after it. Heaps of people do it. Heaps of people. Rob does it. Edwards did it. Like heaps of people do it. But that's huge because the dude dips out of that way. And if you're throwing it from the same chamber, you can't see it. And you dip your head and you get caught, you're done. SG says Volk versus either of these guys would be a good fight. Yes, 100%. I do agree with you. I do think that. I do think that I'd like to see Volkanovski versus one. I'd actually want to see Volkanovski against one of these guys more than I want to see the Islam rematch, to be honest with you. I would just like to see him fight Gaichi or Poirier. Gaichi would be Volkanovski versus Gaichi would be crazy, I'd love to see that fight. I think more so even than the thing. Son Sam says Justin has the highest bone density in UFC history for a reason. Laugh out loud. See, that's another thing. Look, that's what I was saying before. It's hard to gauge damage, dude. If you there are dudes that like you could have hit them with full force and they checked it and it didn't do the same damage than someone that doesn't have that same bone density or the same musculature or whatever. You know what I mean? There's all different kinds of people. SG says, I think Volk can make it look easy against Gaichi. Maybe. I think Volkanovski would win, but again, styles make matches as well, I think Volkanovski would win. I just think it'd be a fucking... Because Gaethje's going to bring it, you know what I mean? He's going to really bring it. You're going to see a tough fight. He's a monster, dude, this guy. He's a fucking monster. That was a huge kick. That was a huge kick, man. He got him flush. And that was off the back of Poirier hunting for the same thing, you know what I mean? That's what made it very, very interesting, in my opinion. No, I like it. So what's next? What's next for everyone, Does Paredo get a title fight? Does what's next? Yeah. I don't. It's funny. ASG says Masvidal died a little giving that belt to Gaichi. Yes, I have to say I agree. It would have been funny. Yeah, what's next? Does Gaichi fight Islam? Because that'd be a cracker fight. Like, or the winner out of Charles and Islam, rather. That'd be a cracker fight. Does he fight? Does he sit that out? Does he fight who? You know what I mean? These are fucking crazy fights. If you knock out Poirier like that, are you then expected to fight again? I don't know. Mark Whelan says Gaichi is just heavy at everything he dishes out. 100% venom coming at you, man. Yes, that's why I was saying to you, like, I think it'd be very hard to stop him coming forward like that for 5 rounds at altitude where he feels comfortable. I didn't predict a head kick KO, but I thought it'd be very difficult to stop that coming forward like that. Yeah, because it's relentless. It just keeps coming and coming. And I don't know, like, that's why, because Volkanovski's got such an engine on him and Gaethje's got such an engine on him, that I'm really interested in that fight. You know what I mean? Just to see that these two guys just hitting. I think that Volkanovski's not a little bit, like a fair bit more technical on the feet. I don't know. I think it'll play out on the feet as well. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to go anywhere else. SG says, lightweight is at an odd spot. Oliveira versus Makhachev is booked, but according to Uncle Chael, Charles doesn't want it. Volk and Gaichi are in the wings waiting. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen between Oliveira and Makhachev. If it's booked, then I think it's, we have to assume it's going to happen, if something different happens, it is what it is, but what do I think about that fight? I don't know, because I think that Oliveira is either winning or he's losing, if it makes sense. Like he's like, even in the same fight, he's like either getting beat and then just completely the other way around winning, or he's just winning. You know what I mean? Like there isn't like a lot of, in his fights historically, there isn't a lot of back and forwards. Like there isn't. He's either winning the fight or he's losing the fight, and so I think that you can see a completely different Oliveira as well. He wrestled up really well against Islam when he did the leg lock and then wrestled up. I think he did a really good job against Islam like that. So I don't know. I can't pick necessarily. Islam's very tidy with what he does. You know what I mean? He's very tidy. He knows what he's doing. And I think a lot of people underestimate his striking. I don't think Charles underestimates his striking, but I think a lot of people underestimate his striking and how heavy his hands seem to look. He looks like he's very heavy-handed. Even in the Volkanovski fight, he looked like he was heavy-handed. So yeah, I think that. Gaichi, so somebody says, Oliver Ekman, Fab, will you be commentating the next pay-per-view? Yeah, for sure, the next pay-per-view, and I'll try and do any of the bigger cards. I'm probably going to try and in between put up different content rather than doing every single card, if that makes sense. But what I'm going to do is probably do like a live breakdown of this, like what's next for everyone. And so when you see that notification or something like that, just understand that it'll be live. I'll try and do as much live stuff and interaction as possible. Mark Whelan says, it's fantastic to see you back, Fab. Sending great vibes to you and yours. See you next time. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys early in the week for a live breakdown. Thank you, guys. Take care.